and you have the amount of energy that you have, you're doing something right, obviously.
Clean and sober for 73 years is a good start.
That's a good start.
That's a good start.
Do you drink a little wine every now and then?
I do drink some good red wine, and Shemaine chooses and picks my wine because I have no idea.
You just don't get blasted.
I drink I like it this much.
Right, you can still stay
sober. And that's fine. Everybody at the Thanksgiving dinner table, the Nugents drink beer and wine, and they have a couple of highballs, whatever that is. But I don't. I can't stand the taste of liquor. I like a good sweet wine, but a couple drinks and a good cigar around a campfire after we shot our machine guns. There are certain procedures that seem to be good for the psyche.
Yeah,
and the spirit.
I enjoy a good cigar as well. I like a nice glass of wine, but I do like to get drunk occasionally.
A lot of my friends do too.
But you know what? I take countermeasures.
But see, I can accomplish all things getting drunk without getting drunk. If you want crazy and stupid and out of control, all I have to do is go crazy, stupid, and out of control. I don't need any impetus. I don't need any outside influences. The great Apache chief said, God has already given you everything you need. And I believe that wildness, uninhibitedness, absolute gonzo misbehavior, whatever you need to do is already in here. You just need to know how to unleash it. For example, recently I do all these interviews. I have a new record coming out called Detroit Muscle, which is, I sent you a bunch.
How many records have you had?
40 million I've sold, but I think 30 albums maybe.
That's pretty incredible.
Yeah, I started in 67, not when I was 67,
God
1967.
Do you know how many fighters come out to Stranglehold, by the way?
Of course I do. Well, what a lick. Shall I?
Yeah, please do.
I mean,
there's so many fighters come out to that song because like for a jiu-jitsu guy,
and
that
military
is the song.
military guys going into battle. Hitman. Look at this shit. Look at this
shit.
Look
at your goosebumps. Those are real. Look at that hair standing up on end.
Shit.
It really is happening.
After 1,000 years of that shit.
1,000 years and you still get fired up.
What a great lick, though.
It's a great fucking song.
That all comes from Bo Diddley. When you first get a guitar, when I was like 7 years old, of course, who doesn't feel... That is such a natural rhythm. I was just on the phone with Billy Gibbons, and he said that a fetus at conception, if that Bo Diddley lick is happening,
start move his little toes,
it will dance. So my point is that this right hand, if I jacked off, I'd pull my dick clean off because this right hand.
You jack off with your left hand?
But no, I hired. Never mind. I signed so many autographs on all these hats every day and all these flags, and I play my guitar every day, and I started with his god, Bo Diddley. You hear all the well, what is... that whole... And I learned that, not just Bo Diddley, but a guy named Jimmy McCarty. Know the name. Jimmy McCarty. 1960, my band, The Lourdes, opened up for Billy Lee and the Rivieras, Martha and the Vandellas, and Gene Pitney, who had a hit song called Town Without Pity. This history. So I opened up, I was 12... Going on 12, my band, The Lourdes, opened up Billy Lee and the Rivieras.
You were 12 and you were opening up for them?
Yeah, when I was 14, I opened up for the Supremes and the Beau Brummels at Cobo Hall because my band, The Lourdes, won the Michigan Battle of the Bands because we were bad motherfuckers for white boys, I'm telling
14?
you. Yes, it was awesome. So anyhow, going back to Walled Lake Casino, Novi, Michigan, Walled Lake, Michigan. Billy Lee and the Rivieras. It was Billy LeVice destroy 10 tambourines per song. Every song had 3 forehead vein-popping crescendos. Johnny Bonangic, 15 years old on Ludwig drums, playing it. Nobody played bass drums like that. And there's this kid throttling like some kind of industrial beast. And then Earl Elliott on a Rickenbacker bass through an Ampeg B15. Joe Kubrick on a Gibson 335 Cherry through a Fender twin amp. And this long-legged motherfucker on a Gibson Birdland and a Fender twin reverb. Jimmy McCarty, and they started a song called Jenny Take a Ride. I was already into the Bo Diddley chukka 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 stuff, but when he started Jenny Take a Ride, only I can do this. Only I can replicate what Jimmy did that night, and it went like this. See, rider, come on, see, baby, what you have done now. Oh, see, rider, come on, see, baby, what you have done now. Ah, you made me love you. Nah, your man is. Watch this right hand. Well, I go. Get the fuck out of here. Do you feel that?
Yes.
What the fuck kind of music is that?
It's amazing music.
So I saw this Birdland. Nobody played a Birdland. It's a jazz guitar. It's made for playing things like... which is cool. Great tone, huh?
Right.
Great rich bell kind of tone, but when Jimmy played it, that...
Wow.
So that imprinted Gibson Birdland, Fender Twin. Gibson Birdland, Fender Twin. Right hand, Bo Diddley on stair. Holy fuck. So eventually, I had to get a Gibson Birdland. And the way I play comes from the Bo Diddley Chuck Berry. And even Chuck Berry, the whole... Now, Chuck didn't play it like that because my right hand was playing all the counter rhythms. And so that's where the whole...
Cat Scratch Fever.
The whole ka-ka-ka-ka-ka-ka. The new record's got a song called Detroit Muscle. I don't write songs, I ejaculate them. I just pick up my guitar and go... The whole it's just made me play. So Chuck Berry, Bo Diddley, Little Richard, Jimmy McCarty, Billy Lee and the Rivieras, by the way, changed their name years later to Mitch Ryder and the Detroit Wheels. I talked to Mitch on Thanksgiving. I still keep in touch with these fucking guys 60 years later.
Wow.
So the new record is the continuation of, you use the word primal. Primal is my life, whether it's with a sharp stick or a guitar or a chainsaw. Primal is pure. And I think that field to table is a return to primal. I think you discovering that you can either go vegan or a hunter, you made the primal decision. I think primal is the answer to every problem mankind has subjected themselves to. Getting back to tooth, fang, and claw, the earth, accountability, your step. Did the step that you take benefit the world, or did it harm the world? Both literally and figuratively. So that's how I've conducted my life. And the new record, it's just a fucking orgy of killer songs. And my drummer, Jason Hartless, and bass player Greg Smith are what every guitar player dreams to have at their side. The best musicians you've ever heard.
That's awesome. You know, I don't play music. I don't have any musical talent. I've never studied it. But I'm always fascinated by the fact that, especially with guitar, that I can hear a few licks and I'm pretty sure I could guess who's playing.
Sure.
You know, like Gary Clark Jr., for example.
Sure.
He has a very specific
Here's his
sound.
tone. Here's his tone here. He got that deep bass tone.
Yeah, you know, Steve Ray Vaughan, obviously, but Jimi Hendrix particularly.
Get out of here.
You know, I mean, that guy, was he the first that really had his own, like, legitimate, distinctive sound?
What the
Did
fuck?
you ever work with him?
I jammed with Jimmy. Wow. I was in a little room with him.
Wow.
It's unnatural. He was the guy that took what Chuck invented. Chuck had the distortion. He played a Gibson 335. He played a Birdland on his first record. It was the prototype Birdland, 1955, I think. But he got a little bit more distorted than the typical country, you know.
Right.
You know, that. But he took it to.
Like Voodoo Child sounds. Yeah.
And then Jimmy, of course, just turned everything. I was invited. Steve Paul had a club in New York called The Scene, Steve Paul's Scene. Everybody jammed with Johnny Winter and Edgar Winter and Rick Derringer and Jimmy McCarty and Jimi Hendrix and just every Steve Winwood. We just go there and we just jam at 3 or 4 in the morning. And I was invited by Stephen Green. I hope I got all this right. He was going to start a club, and it was going to be the debut of a new band called Sly and the Family Stone, their first East Coast performance. And the Amboy Dukes were in New York City recording Journey to the Center of the Mind. Great song. That's that right hand again. Just this young kid playing all these illegal notes. And so we were invited down because there was going to be a Sly and the Family Stone debut, and we were on Mainstream Records. I don't know how they invited us, but my Journey to the Center of the Mind solo was really quite outrageous for back then because it was so melodic, but it was, you know, feeding back. Cares behind, come with us and find the pleasures of a journey to the center of the mind. Come along if you can. Just a great song for a bunch of kids. So we were invited, and we're in there, and they told me to bring my Birdland because I was the only guy that played a Birdland.
What's the difference?
Well, it's hollow body. It's hand-carved arch top made of North American spruce, so it has even without an amplifier, it's got the...
If you don't want to indulge me, like when like Robert Johnson was playing, what was he playing?
Robert Johnson started with an acoustic guitar, and they played such a nasty, noisy.
I try to.
You can hear more string than electronics.
When I listen to his music, because there's, was always the legend of him selling his
primal.
soul. Yeah, so primal.
Yes.
But also really new, right? There wasn't a lot of that music around before him.
Well, that's what, let's talk. I'll tell you why. I'm here to help. So you want emotional, sincere, beckoning, defiant, raw, primal.
Yeah.
You're going to have to get it from a guy who was enslaved because his spirit has been shackled and his pain is unprecedented. They were controlled by other men, which is so obscene, so wrong. They knew it was wrong, but they couldn't break free. So when they sang, it was the ultimate heartbreak, anger, fear, yet craving to be free. And so you hear it in their angst and the pulse of their lyrics and the dirt, literally and figuratively. They just come out of the cotton fields and they're going to play music of what they're feeling. So it was so sincere, so definitively authoritative from a painful position. Blues, gospel. And then the Emancipation Proclamation, I give you Little Richard. You're talking about a defiant motherfucker.
Bursts out of that.
Yeah, explosion. You can't manufacture that. It has to come from the guts. It has to come from the horror of slavery to the unprecedented explosion of freedom. And I'm going to sing about fucking your daughter, Long Tall Sally. And I'm gonna wear a pompadour and I'm going to put a mascara on and fuck you, motherfucker.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
And Chuck Berry.
Look at him, man.
Get out
Look
of
at
here.
Little
There's my
Richard.
hero.
My God, he was amazing.
Long Tall Sally.
Is he still alive? Is he still alive?
No, is he still? I think so.
I think he's alive.
I think he's alive. I want him to be alive.
I want him to be alive.
So anyhow, that music touches.
2020, man. He died last year. Motherfucker.
So that, yeah.
I didn't hear a peep out of that.
Yeah.
He died last year? May 9th. Wow. My favorite is Tutti Frutti. Used to be called Tutti Frutti Good Booty.
Yes.
And they made him change it.
And he made hit records out of Fuck You White Man. What a bad. So my point is, you can't manufacture it. You can't design that. There's no formula for that. It's got to come from your soul.
And it's the horrible truth of that kind of art is that it comes from that pain, and that you can't create it anywhere else. And it's almost like that's the only benefit of that pain, is that it produces this spectacular art.
And you had to let it out some way.
Yeah.
And the music did that. And
like,
then,
you don't get that from a good childhood, right?
I don't know. I mean, there's
I
probably
don't think you get that. You probably get something great. You can get something great, but you won't get that great. It's a different kind of great,
not
right?
that authentic.
Right.
Not that raw. There's a believability factor to that black influence. I had a tour years ago called Black Power, because every night on stage since the 50s, I've celebrated and thanked Chuck Berry and Bo Diddley and Little Richard and James Brown and Wilson Pickett and the Motown Funk Brothers. I mean, there is no music that means anything that wasn't inspired by a black guy. Name me music that moves you that doesn't have a black history.
Like, how much of an impact did Hendrix have on guitar players in this country when
Huge.
he came around? What was it like? Because you were there and you said you jammed with him, but I'm a giant Hendrix fan.
Monster.
when I was a kid, I remember hearing Voodoo Child for the first time, just thinking like, how is this guy doing that? Like, how is he making
especially
those noises?
left-handed upside down? Well, geez, there's so much I could tell you. So yes, when Les Paul electrified it about 1945. Before that, it was a background strumming instrument, folk music and background.
So it was 45 is when it changed.
1945 is when Les Paul electrified it, and all of a sudden it had this fiery sound, this electric sound.
When did they first start recording? Like what was the first?
Me or him?
No, anyone.
Well,
like, what was the first?
Les Paul also invented a lot of the recording procedures. I mean, the double tracking, the multi-tracking, the echo stuff. Because
I think we've gone over this before. We tried to figure it out. There's like a really, really old recording of someone singing, and it sounds fucking terrible. But I mean, I want to say it was the 1700s. Was that what somewhere around that?
Seriously.
I think so.
What, they record on
17
papyrus
or 18,
leads or
1860.
something?
1860. Okay, so 1860 was the first recording. And so it wasn't even 100 years later you have Hendrix. Or 100 years later.
Yeah. Well, musicians...
100 plus, actually, right?
We're a crazy bunch. And you want to talk about the ultimate application of critical thinking? Take the foundation of electric guitar, honky-tonk. Actually, it's in the key of F, but... Well, okay. Let's spend the night together. Now I need you more. That's all honky-tonk.
Right.
That's all honky-tonk.
I saw the Stones last week.
Great.
Fuck.
What about Mick Jagger? What species?
Fuck.
What species is that?
78 years
I know
old,
it!
dancing around, singing.
That's all I need to know.
Fucking
People
amazing.
go, how long are you going to be doing this? Mick Jagger will let us know. He's a bad motherfucker.
Fucking still so. They put on an hour-and-a-half show at Circuit of the Americas in Austin. So it's this enormous racetrack, and they have a huge amphitheater out there. It's an incredible place, the Circuit of the Americas, and they have these fucking gigantic screens. And when he was on stage, I swear to God, I felt like I was in a dream. It didn't feel real.
Skinny
To watch him dance around and fucking singing. You know, they had to take Brown Sugar out of their playlist.
See,
Isn't
that's
that crazy?
so wrong.
That's so wrong.
You're not allowed to celebrate black girls now?
Right. How crazy is that?
How crazy is that?
And the girl who is the inspiration for that song was hugely upset by it. She was like, it's an amazing
so
part
was
of
Aunt
rock and
Jemima
roll.
when she was banned from the
I
shelf.
don't think Aunt Jemima's a real person. But Brown Sugar is a great
it's the
fucking
same mentality.
song, man. No one's protesting that song. They just didn't want to deal with it. It's like the woke
that kind of let me
anti-racism
down because
stuff.
the Stones were a defiant bunch, and I'd like to think that they would retain that. But
I think they just don't want any hate at this. I mean, they're in the finish line, right? Yeah. They're at the home stretch.
Yeah.
But goddamn, the show was good. When they played
bet.
Gimme Shelter, holy
Monster.
fuck. Holy fuck. It was incredible.
Yeah.
Keith Richards can fucking still wail.
He's a god, man. I spent 2 nights with Keith Richards at Studio 54 in New York City in 1978.
Wow.
Because I'm militantly anti-substance abuse, and he's militantly pro-substance abuse. And we had such a good time together.
Oh,
it was just funny because he was a hero of mine. I mean, all my songs came from Chuck Berry, Little Richard, Bo Diddley. But remember the first Stones album, the British Invasion Stones album, Beatles, Kinks, the Yardbirds, they all had Bo Diddley, Chuck Berry, and Motown songs because that's what I was raised on. So I was playing that music before the British Invasion.
Wow.
And so when the British guys did it, and they did it such a good job because they so revered those artists, and they presented the Chuck Berry songs. Oh, Carol, I mean, just Keith Richards. Let's see. Oh, Carol, don't ever steal your heart away. Well, I got to learn to dance if it takes me all night and day. Well, come into my machine so we can cruise on out. What Keith Richards did to the Chuck Berry songs was so respectful, but I don't know, not more youthful. You can't be more youthful than Chuck Berry, but
just
something
different.
about their delivery.
Just put a different spin on it.
Yeah, with Jagger's over-exaggerated bluesy vocal approach. God. And all those great players. But that was so influential. So take that influence, which was a bombardment, unprecedented, and then take it all the way to Jimi Hendrix. And then the next chapter of guitar sucker punching was Eddie Van Halen. So, and I've got to jam with all these guys. I got to jam, you name the best guitarists, I've jammed with all of them. And to sit there, you don't sit there, you kind of dance there, and you're paying attention to what they express and how they unleash these note volleys and phrases and musical authority. It settles in your psyche. It settles in your soul, and it's like an arsenal of licks that you can do in your own way, but you're not afraid to do it the way they did it. And if you have a certain touch of your own, then it comes off as your signature style.
That's what's always so fascinating to me, is that out of all the notes that have been played, all the songs that have been written and sang and recorded, that there's still new ways to make a guitar wail.
You see this landscape?
Yes.
It looks restrictive, doesn't it?
Right.
It looks like it's only that long.
Right. It's only
and
2
that many
feet long.
frets. Lewis and Clark wouldn't know where to send Sacagawea on my guitar neck. I got a song on the new record called Driving Blind that goes... There I was, minding my own business, kind of caught off guard. I wrote the book on sexual healing. I swear to God, well, I think I found the answer to get me peace of mind. Don't flirt with disaster, and don't get caught driving blind. You know, it's got a groove. It sounds like something you've heard before, but you never have.
Where does Clapton fit into it for you?
Monster. I mean, I can do...
Can you do Layla?
I don't know Layla.
Damn.
But he's the beast. I mean, Billy Gibbons, the beast. Mm-hmm. I mean, now Joe Bonamassa, a beast.
Who's Joe Bonamassa?
Joe Perry.
Who's Joe Bonamassa?
Joe Bonamassa is a super-duper blues guitar player that played Albert Hall and got Eric Clapton to join him on stage. Look into Joe Bonamassa. He's on tour all the time. He's a great guitar player. He's no Hendrix and he's no Billy Gibbons. Even my guitar player, Derek St. Holmes, for years, is one of the greatest guitar players in the world. And you won't hear his name mentioned, but he's better than most. So there's Ricky Medlock with Leonard Skinner, my guitar player in the damn Yankees, Tommy Shaw. These are unbelievable musical forces, just genius, soulful, grinding, authoritative guitar statements. But you won't hear their name because there's so many of them out there.
There is so many, and there's more coming every day. There's kids listening to this right now, just picking up a guitar for the first time.
Yeah, well, learn Bo Diddley and Chuck Berry if you can't go. And if you can't go... And if you really want to go someplace, try to do... What a great lick. I love playing that lick.
Great fucking lick. That's a great fucking lyric. That's in my workout playlist.
Here I come again now, baby, like a dog in heat.
Yeah.
You can tell it's me by the clamor, motherfucker. I'd like to tear up the street. I've been smoking for so long, you know I'm here to stay. I got you in a stranglehold, bitch. Get the fuck out of my way. What a love song.
It's a great song.
The road I cruise is a bitch now. You know you can't turn me around. If a house gets in my way, I'll burn the motherfucker down. Remember the night that you left me, you put me in my place, got you in a stranglehold, motherfucker, and I crushed your fucking face. Fuck you.
Whoa!
It's a love song. You feel the love.
I don't, but I get it.
It's about standing up for what you believe. Yeah. Here's a great story. You're not going to believe this. So I signed with Epic Records, 1974. Tom Werman, God bless him. Tony Reality, the engineer. Derek St. Holmes, monster force. Rob Grange on bass, unbelievable. Cliff Davies, God rest his soul, on drums. I got this rock and roll band from hell. We're playing all over the country 300 nights a year, cultivating this musical relationship with music lovers that love the dynamic and the crescendos and the experimental and the outrageous, uncharted territory, musical mayhem, but mostly the intensity of a Detroit piss and vinegar band, which I define. And so they signed me because they liked the songs. You got Stranglehold and Stormtroopin'. Just great licks, great song. Motor City Madhouse, just all these great songs. Derek's got this ungodly voice. So we get in the studio and we're setting up equipment, and they had heard Stranglehold, but they called a meeting, and I didn't know why they called a meeting, but the production company, the engineer, the management company, the band, the producer, all the record company, A&R, artist relations, all want to have a meeting. I go, all right, maybe we should have a meeting before we start recording to make sure it's like a team energy thing, like a pre-fight gathering.
Right.
And they get in. The bottom line of the meeting was about, they all voted that Stranglehold shouldn't be on the record because it doesn't have a chorus.
Oh, my God. Could you imagine if you listened to them?
I'm in the room, and it's like an intervention.
Oh, my God.
And they're trying to tell me that I got to stop taking this drug.
God.
And I'm listening to all their things. It doesn't have a chorus, so who gives a shit? Who says this how to have but nobody likes long guitar jams anymore. I go,
oh, my God.
I do.
How is that possible?
So I said...
This is 74?
So I said, are you guys done?
What year was Freebird?
Yeah, that next year maybe.
How the fuck did they get that so wrong?
They're in New York City.
That's so dumb.
And they're monitoring hit records.
Oh, God, I hate that shit. That shit drives me crazy.
So there was a moment where those lyrics to that song, Stranglehold, came to fruition in a meeting where they all voted that it shouldn't be recorded because it's a long jam. Nobody likes long jams, and there's no chorus. And I said, if we play this every night, I've been unleashing this song. The people go nuts every night. I'm going with the people's vote. Yeah. Not only that, but even if the people didn't like it, it's my statement. I believe in this song. Let's shut the fuck up. Let's record it.
If you hear it for one time, how the fuck can you not love it?
How the fuck you not love it?
It's such a classic.
It's a monster.
It's such a classic. The fact that they wanted to take that off the... Imagine if you listen to them. Oh, my God. I mean, between Cat Scratch Fever and that, like, what is your biggest hit?
Well, I don't think there were any. It was a hit. I mean, Derek wrote the song "Hey Baby" on the first record.
But I mean, as far as like songs that are identified as a Ted Nugent song throughout the history of music, Stranglehold's right up there.
Right up there at the top. Probably between. There's a song called "Fred Bear."
Yes, amongst Hunters, that's a big one. Yeah.
See, it's got that pound thing going.
That might
there
be
I was, back in the wild again. And I felt right at home, where I belong. I had that feeling coming over me again. It's just like it happened so many times before. So many times. Beautiful song. Fuck, I got to tell you, Joe, I got a call this morning. When that song happened after Fred died, I've always been surrounded by the best musicians on the planet. They're dedicated to their craft. They have a work ethic. They're smart asses. They're adventurous. They're critical thinkers. They're gifted. Michael Lutz on bass, the author of Smoking in the Boys' Room for Brownsville Station. Gunnar Ross, a drummer from Detroit of just super thunder. And when I played that song, I cried through the whole thing. I was completely out of control because Fred had died and my mom had died. And that pattern had a life of its own. I didn't play it, I facilitated it. But Michael and Gunnar immediately grasped my emotion for Fred and what the song meant. And what you hear on the song that the Navy SEALs play when they come home with flag-draped coffins and people bury their children or have an anniversary, the song, every day I get people testifying what the song Fred Bear means to them, just so emotional, so powerful. Well, this morning, Gunnar Ross died, my drummer on Fred Bear, 67 years old, and he died this morning. And that moment when he embraced my pain and love for Fred, the pain of the loss, just a smart-ass Detroit drummer monster, but my people, they own the spirit of every song that we play. They become one with it. And Gunnar did that day, and it was take one. I played it for him, and then we pushed the record button at Pearl Sound in Canton, Michigan. And Gunnar and Michael loved Fred. They didn't know who Fred was, but they knew what it meant to me, and they put their heart and soul into that performance, and Gunnar just died this morning at 67.
Will you tell everybody who Fred Bear was? Because there's a lot of people listening to this that don't have any idea who that guy is.
Fred Bear is the essence of American entrepreneurial man in the arena in the swirling dust of the Industrial Revolution, born in Pennsylvania in 1906 or thereabouts, and was a hunter, farmer, trapper, lived on the land, and he moved to Detroit during the Industrial Revolution to be a wood carver for the Fomoco, Ford Motor Company, making cabinets for the radios and the dashboards and the Woodies, the vehicles. And he had become so proficient with the 30-30 that he was looking for more of a challenge. If he saw a deer with his 30-30, he'd kill it. He learned stealth. You give within 100 yards with an open sight rifle, you should be able to kill it. And that's great. That's how you get venison, but he was looking for something else. So he started making his own bows in the 1920s. And a couple buddies, Nels Grumley. I can't believe I remember all this shit. That was his name. Nels Grumley was his bowyer. It takes a real art, craftsmanship to make a bow from a stave and pick the right grain and the right hickory or the yew or the Osage orange and pick the right tree and know that core is going to make a good bow, and then know what the resistance and the flexibility of those wood limbs will produce what they call cast, how it would cast an arrow. It's quite an art form. And so Fred Bear and Nels Grumley had a little shop in Detroit, and when they weren't making cabinets for their business, the Fomoco and the radio industry, he was making his own bows, he and Nels. And he was catching on a little bit, but then up in Oroville, California, I think 1908 maybe, they found an Indian cowering in a corral, and they determined that this was from the Yanni, Y-A-N-I, the Yanni Indian tribe. And back then, if you killed one of them, you get $25.
What year was this?
Yeah.
What year was this?
Northern California, 1908 maybe.
You could get $25 if you kill an Indian in 1908?
Yeah.
Jesus.
Maybe they should have wrote some blues songs.
Holy shit.
Well, so instead of killing this guy, they determined that his name was Ishi, and they wanted to study him. He's the last survivor of the Yanni tribe, Northern California, Oroville. Just heard a story in Oroville, California this morning on the radio. And I said to Rocco and Shemaine, I go, that's where they found Ishi. So this guy Ishi, his whole life was based on the bow and arrow. Getting close to game, taking a freezing river bath before the hunt to deserve an encounter with the beast that would provide life, food, clothing, shelter, tools, medicine, weapons, spirit, deep into the spiritual realm. And so the sheriff department put him in a jail, and they said, well, let's call some anthropologist or one of these scientist guys. And so they called a guy named Saxton Pope.
Pope and Young?
Yeah, this Saxton Pope. So Saxton Pope came down and tried to figure out what tribe and language and started communicating with Ishi. And then he called his buddy Art Young, who was also a professor, I believe. I'm probably getting some of the details a little misconstrued here, but this was the proceedings that took place. And so they were so fascinated, they took Ishi out into his native lands in Northern California, and he showed them how their life pivoted on effective bow hunting. And so Saxton and Pope became fascinated, how could you not, as their world was developing better ballistics for longer range killing. Pope and Young went, yeah, this is fascinating, trying to get close to that Columbia blacktail with a sharp stick. I got to try that shit. Because there was already this maniac movement of sophistication, so they called it, away from the land and to be more citified and more educated and have other people kill your shit for you. But they discovered there was something powerful about Ishi. Well, Ishi eventually died from white man's germs, as so many did. But Saxton Pope became dedicated to the bow hunting lifestyle. And they went on to go bow hunting in Yosemite and Yellowstone, went to Africa and hunted and filmed it all. And so meanwhile, Fred Bear and Howard Hill in California and Ben Pearson down in Arkansas were fancying bow hunting as a little sideline fun thing. Well, back then, the only vehicle of promotion for any given entity or endeavor were newsreels. And they'd go to the theater and play a newsreel on a trip to the Arctic in a boat or how to build a canoe. Well, Saxton Pope and Art Young created newsreels about this fascinating rediscovery of the mystical flight of the arrow and how to kill game with it. Real primitive, real Port Orford cedar shafts that they'd have to heat up to straighten out by the eye, how to cut turkey feathers to fletch with a helical to steer the arrow. This is all.
What were they using for broadheads?
Back then, they made their own out of just raw stock steel. Eventually, Fred Bear made his own, the Razorhead, which became most popular. And in Michigan, there was one called the MA3 and the MA2 and the Bodkin, all of which I still own. So Fred Bear saw that there was a newsreel coming to the Detroit Theater in downtown Detroit. This is 30s. And it's fascinating.
It is fascinating.
And see, I got this right from Fred.
Wow. Wow.
Wallow, bask in the glow. And so Fred said, well, these guys got a newsreel, hunting with the bow and arrow. Let's go check this out. So
can you watch that anywhere?
I think so.
Hunting with the bow and arrow.
Yes.
And what
Saxton Pope, Art Young.
What year?
30s, 1930s.
See, Jamie's going to find it.
And the book they wrote, Hunting with the Bow and Arrow, they both wrote that. Anyhow, so I'm not even born yet. Les Paul hasn't even electrified the guitar yet.
Wow.
But my dad came back from World War II, and Fred Bear already had enough influence in Michigan that my dad became a bow hunter, and I still have his bow from 1945.
So Fred Bear, from working for the Ford Motor Company and then becoming a bow hunter, had influenced so many people that young men in that area were taking up bow hunting for the first time.
Yes.
Wow.
My dad was one of them.
And there was bow hunting anything? Was anybody bow hunting in the country other than that, or was it extremely rare?
Let me see if I remember the name. Roy Case. How do I remember these names? Roy Case in Wisconsin, Fred Bear in Michigan, George Nichols in Michigan, owner of Jackson Archery, who Fred contracted to build Fred's arrows because Fred was experimenting with the lamination invention of laminating thin sheets of fiberglass to thin sheets of woods to build up that beautiful recurve. You've seen artwork.
Yeah.
And it increased the cast. That's how they identified the delivery of an arrow. It was the cast, how well a bow of certain wood would cast an arrow.
Did they weigh their arrows back then?
They did. Typically 600 grain Port Orford cedar with 140 grain, or even heavier bodkins, I think, were 180 grains. MA2s, MA3s were 150s.
And how'd they keep their arrows within that range? Especially with the wood. I would imagine it varies quite a bit, right?
That's why they use Port Orford cedar, because it was controllable. And it had a grain conducive to straightness, even though effort had to be applied to perfectly straighten them, though never perfect. So anyhow, so Fred now, he's so enamored. He saw the Pope and Young video and he goes, holy shit, the hell with FOMOCO, man. Let's build bows and arrows. So he moved from Detroit to Grayling, Michigan, up in the middle of the state, up in the North Country, where the only deer were. There were no deer south of Clare. All the deer were north, because after they cut down every tree in Michigan except for the Hartwick pines, land of the Kirtland's warbler. I got all this. I register all this information. So after the denuding of the Michigan forests, I mean, white pines as big around as this room, Joe. You see their stumps today, and these guys cut the entire state down with handsaws.
Oof.
But shockingly, not so much if you know a little bit about botany, what does that do? Lets the sunlight hit the ground, and the habitat exploded to such supportability, such sustainability for wildlife that animals can only use what they can reach. And now this explosion of low growth provided sanctuary, shelter, thermal cover during the severe Michigan winters, and escape. And so the deer herd exploded in the 1950s. So Fred's up there. So now I'm born in 48. My dad's already a bow hunter, and every kid in Detroit, every kid in America was fascinated with a bow and arrow. I lived right next to the Rouge River. I was in Detroit, but right next to the Rouge River. All industry came by waterways for transportation of goods. And so I didn't know who Fred Bear was. I just knew that my dad would shoot his bow, and every kid got a little kid's bow. And I probably shot stuffed animals with, suction cup arrows in the living room by the time I was 2. And according to my parents, I was a high-energy maniac, borderline dangerous. But I always shot my bow and arrow. So by the time I'm 4 or 5, we're going north every year in the Ford Country Squire station wagon with our bows and arrows, and we'd stop in this town called Grayling and go to this little cinder block shack that said Bear Archery over the front. I still didn't know what was going on. I just knew that I loved bows and arrows, but in this little shack in Grayling, Michigan, were lots of bows and arrows. And this tall, lanky guy named Fred Bear, who my dad would bullshit with, we'd go to the Grayling restaurant and have chocolate milk and cherry pie, and by the time I was 7 or 8, it registered. Holy, this is the guy on the cover of True Magazine with a polar bear. This is the guy on American Sportsman eventually with Kurt Gowdy shooting moose and caribou and hunting with the Maharaji and shooting chittle deer and nilgai on the estate of the Indian ruler. And I'm fascinated. So now this is my Chuck Berry of bow hunting. I was already gung-ho guitar, gung-ho bows and arrows. We all got Daisy Red Ryder BB guns. We all made our own slingshots. I started out with bows and arrows I made myself out of reeds and saplings along the Rouge River. So just a natural inclination. Projectiles, they've always fascinated mankind. How can you control the projectile? How good of a marksman can you be? I was put in charge of sparrow control with my Daisy Red Ryder BB gun in my garage because the sparrows were shitting on the Country Squire station wagon window, so I would kill the sparrows in the garage. So I was deep into shooting. And so I met this Fred Bear guy, and eventually I realized this Fred fucking Bear. Well, he was funny, kind, big, tall, 6'6" something, lanky, and just a natural killer. It's a natural, stealthy, sneaky bow hunter. real slow talking, not to be confused with me, and real easy going, which makes for a great bow hunter. What's John's name that you...
Dudley?
Yes. That's a perfect example of a dangerous bow hunter. Because old John is just so naturally relaxed. That... Right? Am I right?
He's very relaxed.
Yeah. I'm not. So I have to turn the corner before I go bow hunting.
Yeah.
So anyhow, Fred Bear invited me into his life. And from this little shack, my dad was transferred. Every year, I couldn't wait to stop in Grayling and meet old Fred. Every year we'd stop there, and most years he was there for the opening October 1st Michigan bow season, which is why Michigan is the #1 bow hunting state in America to this day, because of Fred Bear's influence. So I fell in love with Fred Bear as a mentor, as a hero, and he welcomed me into his life wholeheartedly, even though he told me that his buddies, I don't know about this rock and roll guy, sex, drugs, and rock and roll. I don't know if you want to associate with Nugent.
But you were a long-haired fellow back
long-haired,
then, too.
hippie-looking dirt dog. But his buddies, Fred told me, he says, no, my buddies said, no, Nugent, I've heard him on the radio. All he does is promote clean and sober. All he does is promote the mystical flight of the arrow and being one with your projectile management. And this guy's high energy and is getting bow hunting promotion to people who will never hear of you. And Fred Bear actually said every sporting event he went to, everybody under 40 always asked him, do you know Ted Nugent? Because I'd shoot my bow on stage every concert with the Amboy Duke, because I'd always promote hunting. Every interview was supposed to be about a new record. I'd promote my weekend with my mom and dad hunting with a bow and arrow. So I was constantly countering the animal rights lie by promoting conservation, especially the discipline of archery. And so Fred embraced me. Long story short, and I could keep you here for 100 days. In 1987, I did my annual hunt with Fred. I'd go every year up to a place called Grouse Haven up in Rose City, Michigan, the gateway to the North Country. And we'd be around the campfire and around the fireplace with just all the old guys. Bob Munger, who we went to Africa with so many times, and all his buddies. And I'd just sit around the campfire just sponging the stories from these guys because they were pioneers of the new bow hunting challenge versus what Roy Weatherby was developing. You kill a deer at 400,000 or 500,000, 600,000 yards, which is a discipline unto itself. That's marksmanship if you dedicate yourself. But bow hunters were looking for something more challenging, more difficult, and more spiritual in understanding your relationship with the animal that the Native Americans always proclaimed, rightly so, that if you dedicate yourself to conscientious, stealth, reasoning predator, that the Great Spirit will provide a shot at the game, which means if you dedicate yourself, you can earn that shot. Powerful lesson in the industrial explosion to go back to a primal scream.
Yeah.
So then in April of 88, after our last hunt in 87, and Fred, I didn't even go hunting. I just stayed with Fred because he was on an oxygen tank. He carried it around. And I just hung out with Fred. Very emotional because he was so powerful in all of our lives. He's just a huge force. And he told me to keep doing what I do, promoting hunting in a rock and roll way, because it got the word out to people who would never hear it at the SHOT Show.
Right.
And then that next April, he died. And it was a force wave of heartbreak. Just, he meant so much to so many people. And so one morning, I was going out to do my chores, like I do every morning, but instead I stopped and I came in the house, and that song happened. Wow. And I called my guys, Gunnar Ross, who died today, and I said, Mike, get a studio, something's happening. And my guys know how serious I am. He goes, it's not like he's, well, what's happening, man? He said, okay, hang on, I'll get a studio. So we got in a studio and recorded that song. And it's so powerful in people's lives.
Did you find that Pope and Young video?
This is the best I could find. I don't know.
Let's see it. 1926 grizzly.
Yeah, how'd you do that? This is
wow.
awesome.
1926 grizzly bear.
You got to be kidding
Can't be
me.
sound on it, but
Watch him. There he is.
Look at his hat.
That's Saxton Pope right there, I think.
A gentleman's hat. And look at the quiver tucked under his armpit. Mm-hmm. By the way, what kind of balls do you have to hunt a fucking bear with a recurve in the 1920s? And look at those bears getting up to try to find out what the hell he is.
Watch him. He missed.
Oh, no. The bear's like, we're getting the fuck out of here.
There, he got him with the second arrow.
Wow. Look how long the arrows are.
Yeah, you got to have you got to have T-Rex scrotum to take that shit on.
Yeah, I mean, look at the boots, look at the clothes, 1920s. I mean,
is that awesome?
There's a big close-up on the arrow here.
Crazy.
That was even before me, Joe.
This is wild that they were interested in doing that. They were interested in bow hunting. Look at the fucking arrow. Yep. Wow, that is wild. That's wild.
Yep.
1926. See if you can find any Fred Bear footage. There's a lot of that on there.
There's a lot of that.
There's a lot of that on there. See if you can find Fred Bear hunting moose. I've seen that video.
Yes. So I've been in the I got to play bass for Chuck Berry and Bo Diddley. I got to bow hunt with Fred Bear.
That's pretty awesome.
I went around the Indy track in a Roush Mustang with Parnelli Jones at the wheel. I was trained on off-road racing by Mickey Thompson and Roger Mears.
There he is.
And Ivan Ironman. There's Fred.
I like how he's putting stuff on his face. He's camouflaging his face with his flannel shirt on. He's got sticks in his hat, the old school hat. Do you ever hunt with a hat like that?
I have not. I have put debris. I have put vegetation in my hat, emulating old Fred. Though.
So he's got a. It seems like he's got a camo. That's a stag, huh, or a caribou? He's. It seems like he's got a some kind of camo on, right?
No, that's just a Pendleton. That's just a Pendleton plaid shirt, which is.
But he put something on over the plaid shirt.
When we started,
okay, that is just a plaid shirt.
When we started, there was no camo. You wore military camo, and then eventually mossy oak. Now I wear mossy oak, and there's all kinds of camo out there.
Were they the first guys to come out with camo for hunters?
I think Grumley.
See, is that not camo he's wearing? Because look at his pants.
Pant looks like woodland camo. Yeah, there's some camo.
So he had some kind of camo on back then.
This is probably in the 50s, though.
Yeah, and look at this. He's got a quiver mounted to the side of his bow, too. Was that one of the first ones? Oh, he invented that.
That's his invention.
Is bear archery, is that from him?
Yeah, he started it, yeah.
Wow.
And let me emphasize this to all your listeners. All of Joe Rogan's listeners, please take heed. If you want to find the beast of your spirit, and when I say beast, I mean the best of you. Get a bow and arrow. Find a bow that is comfortable and graceful. Even if it's in your living room at 10 feet with the proper backstop, and I train my children, do not underestimate the power of spiritual growth available just by getting Mr. Left Hand to be one with Mr. Right Hand, as guided by the oneness of Mr. Brain and Mr. Eyeball, and see if you can put the arrow of your life in the spot of your desires. I swear to God, Joe, I don't care if you're a cop or a teacher or a butcher or a mechanic or a plumber or a carpenter or a radio dude, I don't care what you do in life, whatever point you're at today, within a few days of really discovering your arrow control, whatever you pursue, you will be better at incrementally as you become one with the mystical flight of your arrow, especially young people.
I think it's an amazing form of meditation because it's so difficult to do.
I can't find a better one.
Yeah. It's so difficult to do that, and you don't have to even hunt. Just shoot at a target.
Yes, find a bullseye. Find the bullseye of your life.
It really is.
But you should hunt. You should hunt.
It's so difficult, and people don't realize how difficult it is to have perfect form in archery and how to execute a perfect shot.
Especially in the field under hunting conditions, because form goes to shit. Yeah. It's not the Olympic range, but you have to discover how you can control, manipulate, manage that form in an awkward field position so that from the waist to the face, from your waist to the face, you can control your form no matter how awkward the position may be. And that's the trick to consistent accuracy with a bow and arrow. And it doesn't matter whether it's a compound or a longbow or an old recurve bow. To become consistently efficient with an old-fashioned long or recurve bow is one of the most joyous, fulfilling, gratifying accomplishments in life because it's a bitch.
Yeah, it's a lot harder, right? With a recurve or a longbow, any kind of traditional archery bow, a lot harder to be more accurate. But it's also, there's something about the satisfaction of being accurate that's even more accentuated, right?
Sure. It is accentuated, no doubt about it. And I'm not dismissing. I shoot a compound 99% of the time. I shoot a Matthews that's lightweight, 50 pounds. It's graceful. It feels like a recurve because I'm at full draw under, graceful conditions. And I know that Cameron and you shoot heavy bows because you're strong, but archery has to be graceful. You have to be able, it's not weightlifting. It's stealth and grace. You need to find a bow that is easy to draw, easy to come to full draw, and make sure that your full draw stops at your face, not back here. If it's too long of a draw, especially the compound, because it has a let off, and if it's let off too far back, you'll never have form because it's supposed to be hand-eye coordination. And if you're anchoring back here, your eye's out of the equation now. So in Texas, there's a lot of great archery shops all across America. There's great
shout
archery
out to Archery Country right here in Austin.
What's the name of it?
Archery Country.
Archery Country.
It's a great shop, a really great shop. Who was Matthews was the first to come up with the compound, right?
No.
Was it?
No. Allen, the Allen compound, and
from Allen Archery, like the guys who make still stuff today.
I don't
Same
know.
Company?
Allen, and my first one was why can't I remember? I bought it in 1977. Anyhow,
I thought it was Matthews that had the patent.
No,
here it is. The compound bow was developed in 1966 by
Wilbur
Wilbur Allen in northern Kansas.
At least I
North
got that
Kansas
right.
City, Missouri. A U.S. patent was granted in 1969. The compound bow has become increasingly popular. What is that, Wikipedia? Get the fuck out of here, Wikipedia. Wow, look at that. Look at his first bow. Look at that. That's wild.
Yeah.
Look at that photo. That thing's crazy looking.
Yeah. That's just engineering ingenuity, you know.
That fella got no pussy. Look at him.
Yeah.
Just sitting around shooting bows and arrows all day, obsessed.
There they are.
Look at him. Beautiful. Isn't it amazing how things come out of obsession? Like, just look at that guy's face while he's holding that bow. Go back to that picture. That guy had probably been working on that thing. It had probably been in his head for years.
Yeah.
Look how he made it out of wood.
But what Matt McPherson of Matthews has done is he's taken engineering to a mad scientist level, where the finite measurements of the wheels and the cams, they're so efficient. They are so capable now.
It's just incredible that anybody figured this out, that this guy figured this out in 1966. When you look at that bow right there that he's got in his hand, like, look how crazy that contraption is with all those strings and pulleys.
We all hated
wheels.
it. When they first came out, we all went, "What is that's not a bow?"
And everybody shot it with fingers and shot it instinctive. You shot instinctive with a
up
compound
until
bow
just
forever,
12
right?
years ago, yeah.
12 years ago. Wow. And so you brought the arrow up to your eye, like eyesight?
Not necessarily. I did have it. I used 3 fingers under what they call the Apache draw, so it was closer to my eye than it was to my corner of my mouth. Like I started, I used the split finger when I started, and you see a gap when you do it that way. Cant the bow like Fred Bear and everybody did. They cant to the side to open up that path to the target, and you see the arrow under you, and you know that it's going to be rising to come to your eye level, just like a bullet rises to the scope. And you learned what those gaps are at different yardages. And I got to tell you, when I was a kid, I wish I could shoot today like I did when I was a kid. I couldn't miss. I don't care if it was a flying bird or a running squirrel. Just that natural, no baggage, no psychological considerations. Like the samurai warrior said to Tom Cruise when he couldn't quite master the samurai, he went, "Too many minds." You can't think about some things. You don't think about a 90-yard pass I'm not a football fan, but you have to instinctively know what this thrust is to that guy's running and when it will coincide with the receiver.
It's a thing with training. I mean, that is the number one thing about martial arts is that you execute based on your training.
Yeah.
You don't even think about it.
It's not just muscle memory, but spirit memory.
Right.
That's I use the term samurai a lot, and I use the term out of body a lot.
I think archery is a martial art.
No question about it.
Yeah, it really is. And
I think good
people
guitar
don't think
playing is a martial art.
The way you do it.
I really do believe that. I don't write songs. I don't contemplate patterns. I pick up the guitar and things happen based on where I am emotionally, spiritually, cocky, defiantly, easygoing, not easygoing. And those patterns, the new record, I can't rave enough about Detroit Muscle. The songs, there's an instrumental. It's called Winter, Spring, Summer, Fall. And I'm notorious for instrumentals that have beautiful melodies that grow. Like a song called Earth Tone goes. It's just beautiful.
I recognize that from the Spirit of the Wild TV show.
And the new album has one called Winter, Spring, Summer, Fall. And just listen to this pattern. One day I got up like I do every day, and I went... It's where you are. And if you can express sonically and melodiously and make a statement, and I hunt every day, I do chores out every day, I plant trees or I fill feeders or I work on fences, so I have dirt in my hands all the time. And when I sit down, I didn't sit down and go, hey, a neat title for a song would be Winter, Spring, Summer, Fall. What would that sound like? No, I just play. And after I played it, I realized that I'm playing my life in a year, winter, spring, summer, fall. What do I do in the winter? I'm continuing to harvest because come spring, there's going to be regrowth and planting. Summer, ideal conditions for the growth of that spring planting. Fall, harvest. So if ever there was an organic musical consciousness, it's me.
Can I ask you again about why did you switch from using instinctive with fingers to using a release and a sight?
Old man's eyeballs. I started missing.
Yeah.
My buddy Brian Shootback, just a guru of archery, runs it's actually quite a sporting goods store in Jackson, Michigan, Shootback Sporting Goods. People come from hundreds of miles to let Brian and his team set up their bows, because they're dedicated archery craftsmen, engineers. Because on a compound bow, it really is a mechanical beast. And everything has to be timed really specifically. The wheels, the cams, the tiller between the limbs and the string, the way the cables connect, where the arrow comes out, where the rest allows the arrow to come out straight. And so Brian Shootback, I would call him and say, I missed a fucking buck this morning again. He goes, let me set you up a bow with a peep sight. I go, nah, I can't do that. He goes, I'm setting you one up. Just use it. So he set it up. And
a peep sight, but no housing, no sight?
No, actually it had a peep and a pin.
Oh, it had one pin.
And it had a loop and a release. The whole modern...
You'd never used a loop before then. So you'd been hunting for how long without a D-loop?
50 years.
50 years. Yeah. Well, how apprehensive were you to try to switch over and change?
I respect Brian, and I was really frustrated / angry at making bad shots. Not all the time, but enough to piss me off, because to get a close-range encounter on a Michigan whitetail is one of the most impossible tasks under the sun. These animals are born looking for guitar players in trees.
They're twitchy.
They're so spooky.
Whitetails are so smart.
Especially the Michigan ones, because they've been hunting since they were born. Anyhow, so I respected Brian's recommendation, but it was difficult for me, because instead of the smoothness of looking at my target and coming up, muscle memory, let go now, I'd have to find the pin in the peep and hang on for a second, which is really contrary to my shooting system. But within a couple days, I stuck with it. And, boy, I was zapping them right in there, because once that pin and that peep is there, if you can control Mr. Right Hand and Mr. Trigger Finger like a rifle shot.
Right.
Breathing, sight acquisition, pin in the peep, on the spot. Okay, do it. Boom.
Did you ever fuck around with hinges? Did you ever use, like, back tension releases or anything?
I have.
Yeah?
Couldn't do it.
Why couldn't you do it?
I'm here to admit, Joe Rogan, live on the Joe Rogan podcast experience, I, Ted Nugent, have target panic.
A lot of people do. But
I have it, but I manage it with that right hand thing. Mr. Right Hand, when I draw down on a target or a deer, I'm thinking, first of all, I have an orange square on every target. I have a Dayglow orange tape on all my 3D targets. I shoot out to 60 yards, and I have my pins set accordingly. And as I draw it down, I have an orange tape on my bow. So it reminds me, orange tape. Okay, we're just going for the orange tape. It's not a buck. It's not a target. It's not a bullseye. Okay, orange tape. Hey, Mr. Right Hand, remember, it's all about the orange tape. I've actually cured people. Not cured, but helped them manage target panic, which means you freeze off target. In desperation, you fling.
Yeah.
It's a curse. Most Olympic guys most archers get it at one point or another. And so when I shoot now, I shoot various Matthews bows, and they're lightweight, 50 pounds, and I mostly shoot two-blade broadheads. And I go orange tape on bow. Okay, orange tape. That's right, just orange tape. Just we're going for the orange tape. It's not that big of a deal. All right, Mr. Right Hand, not yet. Not yet. Not yet. Not yet. Not yet. Okay. And I zapped the shit out of them. It's just awesome. But I had to have a diversion reference to orange tape. I swear to God, Joe, when I shot at buck 2 days ago, a real buck, a live buck, I saw the orange tape on his crease.
Now, did you have any target panic when you were using fingers and you're shooting instinctive?
It
just became down to the trigger.
So beautiful.
Have you ever paid attention to? Do you know Joel Turner, the Shot IQ system?
I don't. I know this.
Do you know who he is? Mm-hmm. He's got a really good website, and he used to be. I think he still does. He works with SWAT teams, and he trains people in the difference between open loop and closed loop thinking, and that in open loop thinking, I can always fuck these two up. I believe open loop is like swinging a baseball bat. Like the ball comes and you swing, and at no point in time can you stop it. Like you're just swinging, right? You're not going to check it. But a closed loop is like you're in complete control of every movement through the entire process, and you're thinking yourself through it. And what he does is he has like a mantra that he talks you through. And the idea is to keep your mind conscious and to keep yourself from being just working on reflexes, just like hitting anxiety and then punching the trigger. And instead of doing that, you work through your shot process and you achieve a surprise shot. And one of the ways you do that is by keeping your mind on a mantra and talking. And I think his his
not yet, Mr. Right Hand,
yeah,
not yet.
Yeah, and then he talks you through the thing that he does, the way he says it. I think
it works.
Yeah, I think his is drawback and aim, get it done, watch it to keep it. And the idea of watch it to keep it is like follow that arrow, like become, like Remy Warren says, be the arrow.
Stay on your form till the arrow hits.
Yeah, and this idea of keeping that conversation constantly going in your mind keeps your mind on conscious thought rather than going on instinct. And it's helped me tremendously.
Good.
But one thing that's helped me tremendously is a hinge. I started shooting with a hinge, and I shot.
Hinge. In other words, where it won't release the arrow till you finish your back tension.
Exactly.
Yeah,
and I use Dudley's. I use this one called the Too Smooth. God damn, I love this thing.
I'd love to try
amazing.
that.
I shot
John,
my biggest
send me
elk.
one of them.
I'll have him send you one. I wish I'd known. I would have brought one. But
it's called a hinge.
Yeah,
I know they've made
the release comes from the movement of your hand.
Yes.
Right? And there's like a little click. I hear it like when I get to like right here, I'm pulling my fingers back, I hear a little click, and I know all I have to do is just pull with my back muscles and it'll go off. And I have no idea when it's going to go off, but it's going to go off. That's it right there.
Well,
I love that damn thing. Sure. And I shot the biggest elk I've ever shot in my life this year with that hinge.
Well, you mentioned the click. Yeah. There was, back in the old days during longbow and recurve competition, there was what called the clicker. Are you aware of that?
Yes.
Where it goes on the top of the limb, and you come to full draw, but this little spring steel piece of steel is against the string, and you have to finish your draw with the same back tension.
Right.
And when you hear that little click come off the string, you let go.
Yes.
So there's a lot of deep psychology to definitive archery.
Yes. Yes.
You
there really
talk
is.
to any Olympic archer, and they'll tell you that archery accuracy is 99% mental. Mm-hmm. Anybody can grab the bow, anybody can hold the string, and anybody can pull it back to discover form. Archery form is critical, especially on the Olympic line, especially when there's an elk out there, especially if it's further than 30 yards. But that form, it's when you execute the shot that is all mental, and especially it's a fucking elk and it's a great big one. What the? It becomes it's like there's no world. There's only that fucking elk, and you gotta hit him in the crease.
And sometimes people shoot the antlers because that's what they're thinking about,
they're
which is nuts.
Well, I've studied all the shootings, and typically in a shootout between good guys and bad guys, you get this tachypsychia, where the whole world is towards the weapon, and they typically
shoot the weapon.
Yeah, which isn't necessarily a bad thing, but
not the best thing.
Not the best thing.
Yeah, it's when you are shooting a target, whether it's an elk or whether it's a target, just a 3D target. Are you looking at your pin, or are you looking at the spot you want to hit?
Looking at the spot I want to hit.
Yeah. That's a weird thing too, right?
It's different. That's where the old man's eyes.
Yeah. It's also very different than a rifle.
Yeah.
Right. If you're shooting with a rifle, you want to center that reticle, and you just squeeze, boom.
Ultimately, that reticle. And my grandson shot a beautiful doe yesterday with my GA Precision 308 from George Gardner out of Kansas City. He wins all the long-range stuff. He just creates one of the most accurate rifles on the planet. Plus, I got a new one from the U.S. Marine Armorer that I haven't even shot yet. I'm such a lucky guy. But anyhow, I do a lot of shooting. I do a lot of training every day. I shoot my handguns every day, and I shoot long-range every day. And it is a conflict because on long-range, you don't want to waste your time on that little plate. You want to see those crosshairs because the plate's so small at that long range, even with a 24 magnification. So hand-eye coordination, spirit, breathing, sight control, you get a good rest. Obviously, every time with a bow and arrow, you don't get a rest. And this guy's in charge of your life.
That finger.
All right, Mr. Right Hand. All right, Mr. Now, here's one thing. You probably like to shoot long-range rifle stuff. Don't pull the trigger anymore with your finger. Get that finger on the trigger, know when it's going to go off, and wrap that finger on it just like a release, but squeeze your whole hand. Because when you squeeze your trigger finger, you're actually pulling to the side. It's not coming straight back. you can discover that. But if you squeeze your whole hand, you got your finger on the trigger, and you squeeze your whole hand, that trigger finger is going to come back. And it just seems to work really good for me.
You know Lee Lakowski, right?
I know the name, yeah.
From that show.
Oh, yeah,
Crush,
from Lee and Tiffany, yeah.
Lee and Tiffany.
He's a killer.
He is a killer. I had a nice long conversation with him in elk camp. We shared elk camp this year, and he was telling me that he shoots with a Carter Target 4,
right?
And he gets the trigger in his thumb, and he makes a fist. So
and that's a thumb release.
Yeah, it's a
thumb
thumb
release. I use that off
release.
and on too.
The thumb goes in the hook of his thumb.
That's what he's talking about. The whole hand.
He doesn't shoot with the thumb. He just makes a fist.
Yes.
And he just practices that so often, and he's been shooting with that same release for 20 plus years.
And that's muscle memory and shot sequence management.
Yeah.
It's all about shot sequence management. No increments of the shot sequence are isolated. They're all relative with the bow and arrow or a firearm. You have to have a muscle memory, and the only way you achieve that is repetition, shoot every day. You got to shoot every day. That's why I mentioned a little while ago, if you get into archery, I don't have any place to shoot. Your living room. Well, you don't expect me to shoot a bow in the living room, do you? Yes, that's where I shoot my bow. I shoot my bow in every hotel on tour every year for the last 50 years.
You bring your bow on tour?
Yeah.
What do you do? Do you put up?
I got a little target, a little tiny ball, but it's right there. But what am I practicing? Shot
Muscle
sequence.
Memory. Right. Shot
it's
sequence.
all. It doesn't matter whether it's an elk at 40 yards or the ball at 10 feet. This guy has got to be. It's like when you pick up the guitar, I don't have to look where I'm going to play. I know where the strings are and I know where the frets are because I do it all the time since about 1949. Same with the bow and arrow. I think it's probably more crucial with the bow and arrow. But as I tell everybody, I'm doing a master class, a rock and roll fantasy camp master class. When is it? December 8th? Anyhow, you book this master class with me, and I explain how to express yourself on a guitar, or quite honestly, on anything.
Do they transfer over? Like the idea of expressing yourself with a bow and arrow, expressing yourself with a guitar?
Same. If you're a great welder, same. A great electrician, same. Great
Speaking
mechanic.
of samurai, Miyamoto Musashi said that.
Yes.
Once you understand the way broadly, you will see it in all things.
Yes, in all things. Now, see, I didn't know that, but I knew that.
Yeah.
I'm an instinctive guy. My instincts rule my life. They're tuned in. They've walked wild grounds.
But you honor those instincts, like you treat them with respect.
I genuflect at the altar of my instinct. And in the hotel room or in your living room, you can do archery. When you first start, you might want to get a big backstop.
Yeah.
But my kids learned archery and marksmanship in the living room with Daisy Red Ryder BB gun, shooting at clothespins in the fireplace with a bunch of cardboard behind it. Why not? Archery will only be optimized repetition. I think anything in life.
Yeah.
Guitar for sure, music, all the important things like welding and mechanics. And how about mechanics? Don't you just worship great mechanics?
I do.
I worship these people.
I was going to bring my 1970 Chevelle here, but unfortunately...
What's under the hood on that?
A 454.
That's awesome. You saw my fighter jet out there?
What do you got out there?
I got a brand new, it's just so much fun, Dodge Challenger Hellcat Super Sport wide body red eye 840 horse.
Oh, yeah.
And based on what's in the trunk, it is a fighter jet.
I have a Ram TRX. That's what I drove
That's a
today.
great truck.
Yeah.
Except it's got a governor on it. It won't go more than 118 miles an hour. Get rid of that.
You got to get it from Hennessy.
Yeah, that's right.
Hennessy changes
But I'm
everything.
a high performer. Yeah. I love high performance.
I do too. I know you do. That's why I was going to bring it, but I had to go somewhere afterwards, and I can't park the Chevelle anywhere.
Yeah.
It's like a velvet prison. I can't just leave it somewhere.
You're 70?
Yeah.
And all rebuilt? Best suspension?
Everything.
Who did it?
Roaster shop. Yeah.
Awesome. I got a 74 Bronco that the Texas Metal Maniacs
I know you do. You have a great collection of cars. Your love for Broncos is
I love horsepower.
I have a 72.
I got a 66, completely frame off rebuild, but stock, except for the improvements, suspension, drivetrain. I got a 74 that the Texas Metal Maniac Gods of Thunder have created for me that is just a snort monster. I got an 82 with 90 body parts that Brian Schuback and Dave Miller, you got to go for a ride with me in this thing. It's got a Roush Yates 800 horsepower. It's got Curry axles. I could take it to Baja and just crush. It's so powerful. It's so performance.
There's something about those American muscle cars too. American muscle is just the sound.
Except the American muscle car from the muscle car era, which I missed out on because I was too busy buying station wagons for the Amboy Dukes. I've more than made up for it because the hottest, most powerful muscle car from the muscle car era couldn't touch this fire-breathing Hellcat Red Eye.
No, can't touch it. Not even close.
Not even close. So once I found out that Dodge was producing 700, 800, 840 horses from the factory, I immediately called him and said, I need a couple of these.
You're going to hate this. What can't touch any of these cars is my Tesla.
That's what I know. Everybody tells me that.
I have a Tesla Model S Plaid, the new one. Jesus Christ, Ted.
0 to 100 in 4 seconds?
Machine. It's 0 to 120 in 4 seconds. It's 0 to 60 in 1.9. It's a time machine. Like, it doesn't make any sense. Like, when you merge into traffic.
I love that part.
It's fucking insanity.
Well, it's like this Hellcat Red Eye. If wherever I want to go, yeah, I'm there.
Yeah,
but they don't even know I'm in town.
This thing is silent.
I know.
That's what's the most fucked up part about it. You don't even feel obnoxious.
Outrageous.
Like when you stomp on the gas on the TRX, it's like
I love
this
that.
roar. I love it too. But there's something special about doing it in total silence.
The opening lick of my new record, Detroit Muscle, says, "Strap your ass in. I got a fire-breathing Mopar. Downtown Detroit is like a rock and roll dream. Kick out the jams if you really want to go far. Motor City Soul gonna make you scream. Every night down at Woodward and Telegraph, every red light is like a drag race hell." It talks all about the Detroit fire of muscle cars.
Do you know they're canceling the Hellcat engine?
There's what?
They're canceling the Hellcat engine.
So does that mean they're going to continue the Demon?
I don't think so. I think they're going to go
think
all
it's
electric.
Over?
They're going to go all electric. Everything's going electric.
Fucking idiots.
It's
so, Joe, let me ask you, all the lithium batteries, where are they going?
They're conflict minerals. They come from the ground, Ted, and you got to get them from really fucked up places in the world.
Who convinced these idiots that this is right?
I think the idea is the emissions are better. So it is better for our air. But as far as like what it does for the environment and what it does for conflict and what it, I mean,
negative.
You have to get that stuff. I mean,
all negative.
There's the places in the world where lithium is very plentiful, or just some sketchy ass.
And our
places.
enemies own it all.
Yeah, a lot of them. Yeah. I mean, Afghanistan is a huge place where they get lithium. Afghanistan has a massive supply of lithium, but a lot of it is taken from also like Africa has a lot of it. It's a lot of the different areas where people are mining for lithium, and there's a finite amount of it too. You know, they were worried about running out of oil, which they never did, but they were worried at one point in time before they figured out how to do fracking and a lot of other stuff, and then they figured out that there was more reserves than they thought there were. But they're going to run out of minerals too, I'm sure, unless they figure out how to recycle them, the ones that we have.
I like horsepower. My one Bronco is tuned up. It's about 800 yards to the gallon.
The thing is the sound.
It sounds so good.
The sound is so fucking
beautiful. The
beautiful.
Hellcat is so beautiful. Roush Yates V8s, so beautiful.
I love them all, but the old sound is the best sound.
Yep.
The old sound, like I have a 1970 Barracuda. And you hear that thing fucking fire up.
It's awesome.
It's just
but the new ones are just as good.
They're
amazing.
Think
the new Mopars are just as good as the old ones.
It's like having sex with a condom on. It's all coming through some weird
wouldn't know.
fucking 1970 Chevelle SS found parked on a garage.
Is that yours?
1978. Oh
no!
What? Yeah. That's insane.
Just looking and 6 days ago the story.
Oh my
out.
God.
454 or 396?
It's a 454.
Oh my God. That's the one.
Well, how about this, Joe?
God,
how about
that's
you
incredible.
How about you could get a 454 in a Corvette in 1974 that put out 190 horse?
They were dog shit. Isn't that hilarious?
Absolute embarrassment.
But that was after the gas crisis, right?
I know, but still, kiss
So
my ass.
horrible.
If we can get a horse per cube, if we can now get almost 2 horses per cube, what were they thinking back then?
Well, back then, everybody lost their fucking mind when they had to wait in line for gas.
Yep.
During that whole gas crisis era,
72,
America
73,
fell apart. The golden age for American muscle cars, in my opinion, is between 65 and with a Barracuda, you can get to 71. After 71, things start getting real slippery. They just start looking like shit.
You could get a Mercury Comet Caliente with a 411 rear end, 427 that rated at over 450 horse with a Hurst 4-speed on the floor for like $3,000.
Oh my God! What was $3,000 in
torque
like today's
monsters.
Dollars?
Yeah.
What was that in today's dollars? If you like accounted for inflation,
80 grand.
That makes sense.
My first Bronco, 1970. My first Bronco, $3,000, brand new, right off the showroom floor.
Wow, those cars.
Now 100. You get that same vehicle, $100,000.
1970 is worth. It's only worth $21,000 today. Oh, that's not that bad.
Nicely done, Jamie.
It's just a random calculator.
Jamie is a technician. I have no idea how he does that.
Jamie's the master. That's not that bad. That's actually really reasonable.
It is Jamie, right?
Yeah.
See, Jamie is a perfect example of what I'm talking about. If you want to play killer guitar, you got to do it every day. If you want to be a great welder, you got to do it every day. If you want to be a great technician of the Google world, you got to do it every day like Jamie does. A big salute to you, Jamie. You are the samurai of Googleology or whatever the hell.
Do you use DuckDuckGo at all, Jamie? You should.
Yeah.
They don't track you that way. When you Googling something sketchy, maybe might want to go over to DuckDuckGo.
I know some of the landmines you got to watch out for when you're Googling.
I have no idea how to work that shit. I'm glad I just have this thing on my phone that you gave me the address and I punched it in, and Rocco, my son, showed me how to put it on the screen and told me where to go. I remember in the old days you have to stop at a payphone, have to stop at the golf station, get out a map and find where you're going. It was awesome. I'm so glad I paid my dues in the 60s and 70s. You had to improvise, adapt, and overcome. You had to be a critical thinker.
You had to read maps.
You have to know how to get from point A to point B when there was only a map at the Shell station.
Yeah.
I'm so glad I busted my ass. People consider it a struggle. It wasn't a struggle. It was a fucking orgy. It was a riot. It was so much fun. Unbelievably hard work. Yes, but so invigorating, so titillating, so stimulating, so intriguing. We played 350 concerts a year from 67 through 74.
350?
Yes,
we played
15
days off a year?
I dared my booking agent to let us have a day off. We'd play 40, 50 shows in a row.
Oh, my God.
And I drove all of them. I did all the driving. I set up the equipment. I booked the Holiday Inn. Holiday Inn was a 3-folder brochure, and I could find the ones that were $9.95 a night, and we'd get one room, and we'd all stay in the same room.
Oh my God!
When we stayed in a room, typically it was on the road the whole time. Everybody slept in the car.
Wow!
What a riot I've had, and I'll never do it again. I couldn't possibly survive that. Now, when I go on tour next summer to make up for last year and this year, God damn it, are we horny to play again? Jason Hartless on drums, Greg Smith on bass, my crew, Linda, Doug, Bobby, my crew. If the military operated like my rock and roll machine, we'd win every war and we wouldn't go to any illegal ones. I have the best band, the best crew, the best team, the best management. So efficient. Their job description, I was telling your buddy Jeff here, that's my brother's name. I was telling Jeff, I asked him what he does, and he goes, a little bit of everything. I went, you could work with me, because everybody in my life, the job description is, yes, I can do that, and if I can, I'll figure it out and be able to in 3 minutes.
Yeah, that sounds like Jeff. Now, when you talk to a guy like you that's been doing something like playing music for as long as you have, and you still love it as much as you do, that makes me very happy. It really does.
It makes me so happy.
I love that when people appreciate what they do and love what they do and feel like they're in the right line of business. The saddest shit in the world is when you're talking to someone who doesn't like what they do.
But let me comment. I think that's why I'm here. You know who I adore and worship and pray for and am inspired by?
Kamala Harris?
Yes, because once you identify that level of evil, you know you have to fight for good.
Sorry to interrupt.
No, who
do you love?
That was a good one, because my response was even better. My point is, you know who I worship? The rush hour motherfuckers of America. the people at the checkout counter at the grocery store, the people at the stores, the mechanics, the people who bust their ass to go in. Some of them really love the mechanic work. They really love being a chef. But some of them don't. But they still do it. They know they have to be self-sufficient. They know they have to be productive. They know, and I know these people, and I am so humbled and honored that I've been able to pursue my cravings, not just my preferences. I couldn't not play music. It's who and what I am. I could not go bow hunting. It's my heartbeat. But a lot of people bust their ass to be a good checkout guy and a good mechanic and a good janitor and they're not really in love with it, but they do it every day. And as I come here today driving down 35, which, by the way, you must know how much I love you, because I would not do this. I would not go down I-35 for just anybody.
Is I-35 bad?
Well, today's the first time I've driven it since probably a year ago, when the construction was still just a death wish. But my far tree stand is a pain in the ass for me to get to. I don't go anywhere.
Okay.
But to express myself with Joe Rogan, I'm more than happy to.
So, to me, coming from Los Angeles, these highways are a dream here. There's no one here.
It is coming from Los Angeles, yes.
It's so much better.
My point is that we have to give a huge, heartfelt, gonzo salute to the working army of America, because a lot of them don't love their gig.
Yeah.
But they still do it. And they're not getting rich. They can still live a good life if they use their head and what they spend their money on, and how they improvise, adapt, overcome, and use their heads. And I know all these people. I have a campfire every weekend, September, October, into November. I got a birthday hunt in 2 weeks. I got a New Year's hunt. And these people book these hunts with me from every imaginable walk of life, from every imaginable job description, from every imaginable ideology.
Is this Sunrise Safaris?
Yes, Sunrise Safaris.
And so are you doing this in Michigan? Like, where are you having these hunts?
We start them in Michigan in September, October, early November. Then we come down here and I have my birthday hunt and then my New Year's hunt. And then I go to the 777 Ranch in Hondo for an annual hunt. So I book Ted Nugent hunts. And we go on the campfire, I play my guitar, and we bullshit. We shoot at the range together.
And how do people sign up for these?
They go to Sunrise Safaris on my website.
And just any normal person can go and hunt with Ted Nugent?
Book it. And they sign a waiver. And I think the waiver says if I snap and stab them in the head, it's their fault. A lot like the waiver you tried to get me to sign coming in here. Which I will sign after we dissect it. But my point is that I know these shit kickers.
Right.
I hear them. And around my camp, you can tell that there's no inhibitions. Nobody hesitates to tell me anything they believe, whether it's conflicting, suspicious, out of character, out of line. So I get such beautiful feedback, raw, unvarnished, honest feedback about every imaginable, from the good, the bad, the ugly, especially with all the bad and the ugly that the world is producing right now. So I know these people, and I know that hardware store clerk saved money to go hunting with me, and he tells me about his truck and his new rifle, and he's a hardware clerk. I know how these people operate. They're frugal. They're smart. Their work ethic is godlike. And they're at my campfire, and they share what Fred Bear means, what Stranglehold means, what my music means to them, what freedom means to them, what the First Amendment means to them, what the Second Amendment means to them, how distrusting the government is, how they love their family, how they love their daughter at the volleyball. I mean, I get such a totality of input from just great shit kicker Americans that when I speak, it's not Ted Nugent stuff. It's the accumulation of this raw, honest, unvarnished evidence that goes into my psyche. So when I comment about something, it's not, well, my presumption would be, I don't presume shit. I hear from, then I've been doing this, the campfire thing for almost 40 years.
So for 40 years, you've been having these just hunts with random
and then the
backstage
and then the backstage banter, and then the people that stop me at the gas station, the people stop me at Whole Foods and at the coffee shop, and the input. They're uninhibited, and they want to share it with me because they see me saying what they're not even allowed to say. That's what they almost all of them reference that. God, I wish I could say what you said. I'd get fucking fired if I said it. Thank you so much.
That's the real problem with the job, right?
That's the real problem.
It's being able to express your opinions is very hard.
Yeah.
That's a giant, and harder so today because of social media. I mean, it's people are getting fired for stuff they said on their social media 10 years ago.
Unbelievable.
Yeah, and particularly today with, like, it doesn't even have to be controversial. I was talking to this guy, Dr. Mike Hart from Canada, a guy who's been on my show today before in the past, and he was telling me that he posted something on LinkedIn, and it was just a study showing how people should take vitamin D, and it was associating high levels of vitamin D with positive COVID-19.
So far, so good.
Outputs. That's it. It was just a scientific paper he shared on LinkedIn, and it got banned. Like they pulled it down.
Motherfucker.
There was nothing. I go, send me what you wrote. Like I'll read it to you because it's so fucking crazy.
Isn't that heartbreaking?
Here it is. This is what he wrote. Vitamin D treatment shortened hospital stay and decreased mortality in COVID cases, even in the existence of comorbidities. Vitamin D supplementation is effective on various target parameters. Therefore, it's essential for COVID-19 treatment. It's a PubMed study. It's a peer-reviewed study. And it is in no way anti-vaccine. It's in no way anything. There's nothing negative about it at all. It's just saying that vitamin D is very important to your immune system. So he publishes this, and it gets pulled from LinkedIn. They literally said, we're pulling this down. It's been removed because it goes against our professional community policies. Like,
sure,
what the fuck does that even mean? This guy's a doctor. He's a fucking he's an MD. And
they're professional.
It's crazy.
Devil policy. I mean, how
I don't understand
how evil can you? It's not to be understood. There is evil in this world, and when you have someone recommending an upgrade procedure for quality health, and someone bans it, the people who bans that recommended upgrade for quality health is pure fucking evil. That's all you need to understand.
There's a narrative.
Holy shit!
There's a narrative
Jeff or Josh,
now.
Bring me some water.
There's water right here, buddy.
Is there water?
Yeah, there's water in that there for you. That's it.
Never mind, Jeff and Josh, I got it.
There's no reason why anybody should not be able to talk about things that are helpful. And the narrative today is it's either the vaccine or nothing. And anything that shows you that you're healthier because of it in some way or another could increase vaccine hesitancy. Like they want you to be sick unless you take a vaccine. It's really strange.
Cruel, evil, hateful, rotten to the core. That whole leftist agenda, that media, academia, big tech, censorship, Hollywood.
It's fucking strange.
Rotten. It's not really strange. It's strange in America because it's never been this horrible. But historically, this level of evil and rot has existed. If you're aware of the Trail of Tears or the Bataan Death March or the rape of Nanking, if you're not aware of that stuff, then this would be shocking to you. But if you're aware of the depth of evil and cruelty and demonicy of mankind, then this is nothing different than the history of evil and cruelty and demonicy of mankind, and that describes the left.
How did it come out like this, though? Because the left was all about, like, make love, not war.
I don't think so.
But what happened? Like, why did it shift
Be very
to this
careful,
totalitarian, like, ideology that must be subscribed to, and then this giving into authority, which is weird?
I will not comply. Joe, I'm here to help. I'm here to help. And I know you respect your elders, right?
Yes.
Do not bother yourself with the big question, why? Just acknowledge if the guy's breaking into your house, you have to shoot him. You don't need to know why he's breaking into your house.
I know, but I'm a curious person, so I just don't understand how so many people are going along with this. I understand that it's anxiety that goes along with the pandemic, and there's also this desire to not be attacked, so you attack others. I get that. I get all the psychological mechanisms that are at play that allow people to fall into this sort of totalitarian thinking. Because the totalitarian thinking is so strange to me that it's coming from the left, that they're giving in to this authoritarianism. They're giving in to this idea that the government is your friend and the pharmaceutical companies are looking out for your best interest. It's the craziest thing ever to have that come from the most educated. I mean, if you look at traditionally, the people on the left traditionally have the most education.
All right, well, stop right there.
The most intelligent.
Where'd that education come from, and what is the content of that education?
For sure. But it's still, in their eyes, like throughout history. If you talk to people, like if you talk to people in the 1990s about from the left, and you ask them, do you trust the pharmaceutical companies? They'd be like, fuck no. If you talk to people in the 2000s that were dealing with the opioid crisis and all the other issues, I mean, if you watch that show Dope Sick, if you see like the depths that these pharmaceutical companies have gone to in order to sell poison to people and to talk to people and lie to them, to tell them this poison is not addictive, and to trick politicians. And I have a friend who used to be a sales rep, and he and I were talking about this the other day, and he used to be a sales rep for pharmaceutical companies, and he said they would tell him, you are going to be best friends with that doctor. You're going to know his fucking kids' names. You're going to show up at his kids' games. You're going to get them free tickets to baseball games. You're going to get them free meals. You're going to do whatever you can to get inside their good graces, and the idea is to get them to prescribe as much of our drugs as possible. And I had never heard this. I knew that he had done something in the pharmaceutical industry, but I didn't know how deep it was. And he and I had this conversation about it. It was mind-blowing.
And he's your friend because his conscience kicked in.
Yeah, well, he's not in that business at all
That's
anymore.
my point. His conscience kicked in.
He was young. He was like 21 years old when he was doing this, like fresh out of college.
Well, the movie The Fugitive. They manipulate it to become rich and in control, and they could give a shit about how many lives are lost.
But when he was explaining how this guy makes this amount of money because he sells this amount and he has this, and they had a list down of all the doctors that prescribe the most drugs and all the doctors that will prescribe the most SSRIs, the most painkillers, the most anti-anxiety medication, and that they're just fucking handing this shit out like candy, and they're being encouraged to do this from these pharmaceutical companies.
Paid.
And the of paid, but not really. It's a lot of it is influence. A lot of it is influence through giving them free things, giving them free meals. It is, but it's also like they develop this reputation and this relationship with these doctors and these nurses, and they take everyone to dinner, and then when someone comes along, they go, well, Pfizer's your friend. Pfizer's my friend. And then next thing you know, they're prescribing whatever the fuck Pfizer's selling.
Mankind is so capable of soulless weakness where you can buy their soul. Mm-hmm. You can buy their decision making. You can have them look away from their morals to enrich and empower themselves. But again, when you start asking why, I don't know, why isn't Eric Holder and Barack Obama in prison for killing Brian Terry? I mean, why isn't
Brian Terry?
Brian Terry was the Michigan border agent that was killed with the guns that Barack Obama and Eric Holder gave to the Mexican drug cartels that killed Brian Terry with.
What was that operation called?
Yeah, Fast and Furious.
Fast and Furious, that's right.
I mean,
that was the. I mean, explain what that was, because it's one of the craziest things. To imagine that they thought this was a good idea. They legally sold. I mean, legally according to them, sold drugs or sold guns rather, Mexican cartels, because they wanted to be able to track them.
Yes, they were they were so anti-gun. Barack Obama and Eric Holder, two of the biggest punks that ever slithered the earth, that they were going to provide as much firepower to the most evil people, the child molesters, the child traffickers, the drug importers, the fentanyl producers. They provided guns to the Mexican drug cartel devils to show that those types of weapons will end up committing crimes in America, because they also had the borders open where they could bring the guns that Eric Holder and Barack Obama gave to the drug cartels, American guns, mostly ARs and 1911 45s and 10 millimeters, a lot of Delta Elites. They provided them. In fact, Mike, the FFL in Prescott in Phoenix, that the FBI and the DEA used to provide all these firearms to the Mexican drug cartels knowingly, claiming, Eric and Holder, Barack Obama, claiming, well, we need to track these guns to show you where they go so we can get the guys that use them illegally. No, that's what they were doing. They were doing it so that they would use them illegally so they could pass more restrictive gun laws in America. In other words, providing firepower to the Mexican gangs would somehow support the theory that gun control in America would make our streets safer.
Is this
Brian Terry was shot with one of those SKSs.
Yes.
Well, it was AK-47. No, it was not a Kalashnikov machine gun. It was an SKS semi-automatic.
Now, is this a theory that this is why they did this?
It came out. I mean, the book. I got to get the book. I'll get the guy's name.
But is it a theory that this was the motivation for them selling these drugs or these guns?
It came out in documents that surfaced.
So in documents that surfaced that showed a direct connection between them selling the guns and wanting to pass more restrictive Second Amendment laws?
Yep.
Who's fucking...
Hey, anybody who wants to take my guns, fuck you.
Whoa, that's strong words from Ted Nugent. I can't believe you saying that when he handed me this take it flag with a fucking cannon on it. That's what's hilarious.
Mike Deddy, you ready?
Yeah.
Fast and Furious. Mike Deddy. Get up. Hey, Jamie, get the book by Mike Deddy. I think it might be called Fast and Furious. Detty. He filmed the DEA and FBI instructing him to sell guns to known gang members from Mexico. He had cameras in his house as he had mountains of 1911s and Colt AR-15s. As the DEA and FBI,
Operation Wide Receiver,
everybody
an informant
buy
struggled
the book
to expose the corruption and deceit that led to Operation Fast and Furious. Mike Deddy. Wow.
Cheryl Atkinson.
Did anybody go to jail for that? Operation Fast and Furious?
No.
No one went to jail for
and
that.
So when you start asking why, you'd have to start there. Why?
So explain that he had cameras in his house.
He had cameras in his house filming and recording the DEA and the ATF. Oh, by the way, let's take a little side trip here, shall we? Okay, Mr. Government Bureaucrat. We decided, the different bureaucracies, that we need another bureaucracy to maybe milk some more tax dollars out of the American public and bloat it to such a degree that we have 10,000 people doing the job of 9. Follow me on this. So they had a little meeting one day in a room, and we need another bureaucracy. You know, we could probably make it really over bloated and expansive and waste a lot of tax dollars. Well, but I don't know what the bureaucracy should be about. Somebody in the back of the room went, alcohol. Well, now we don't really need, the government doesn't really have anything to say about alcohol, not since Prohibition. So somebody else went, well, that doesn't matter. Let's just have an alcohol bureaucracy. So the bureaucrats in the room went, yeah, why not? Let's have it. The Bureau of Alcohol. Somebody in the back of the room went, tobacco, throw it, tobacco in there. And they went, well, what does the government have to do with tobacco? It's just a fucking agriculture crop. We don't really have any say in that. Somebody in the room went, yeah, we don't need to. Just throw alcohol and tobacco. So these bureaucrats went, yeah, we could create a giant, bloated, wasteful, arbitrary Bureau of Alcohol and Tobacco. Great. Somebody in the back of the room went, skateboards. They went, no, that's a little far. I don't think we'll ever convince anybody we need to control alcohol, tobacco, and skateboards. So somebody in the back of the room went, guns. Throw guns in there. Well, that doesn't really make. What is really alcohol, tobacco, and firearms? There's really the Second Amendment. There's no reason to have a bureaucracy. And the people in the room went, what the fuck does that matter? Let's just create a fucking bureaucracy that deals with alcohol, tobacco, and firearms.
That is a weird group.
And so these assholes in the room went, yeah, we could probably start a law enforcement agency and bloat the shit out of that. And then we could tax and we could have studies and we could go after people and we could infringe. But it says it shall not be infringed. Fuck that. We can infringe if we want to infringe. Joe Rogan. Smart man, I dare you to explain why there is such a bureaucracy that deals with alcohol, tobacco, and firearms.
It's impossible.
What kind of numbnut came up with that? By the way, all you ATF agents out there, you soulless pricks. How do you not challenge your boss that your agency is against the law in the United States of America? And I know some of these guys, and some of these guys are pretty good guys. But if you were a pretty good bass player, you couldn't be in my band because you have to be a really good bass player. You have to be the best bass player. And you have to be honest. And you have to stand up for what you believe in. And all you ATF agents and DE agents and FBI agents, you took an oath to the Constitution of the United States of America. You punks! Every day you violate that sacred oath. How can you live with yourselves? How can you face your children knowing that you support an agency that has to do with alcohol, tobacco, and firearms? Don't you know deep in your soul that that is so stupid and so anti-American that you must have bouts of guilt? And I would recommend that you implement those bouts of guilt and you fight with good Americans to eliminate these illegal, immoral, anti-American, anti-freedom, oath-violating bureaucracies. I rest my case. And now if you come after me because of my Joe Rogan rant, bring it the fuck on.
Wow. How did it start? Like, how long
Some
ago has the
asshole in a
ATF been
room with
around? I
alcohol and
understand.
shoelaces.
But I mean,
Prohibition.
prohibition? So it's been going on since the
Traces back
1930s?
before that even, but
The
yeah.
ATF?
Oh, Nugent's really going to get in trouble now. He's running over the top. Fuck you. I'm a free American. If I want to have alcohol, tobacco, or a firearm, there's no man that has any input into that decision-making process. Those are my decisions.
What is the idea of the ATF? Like today, like
can't
what function
imagine.
do they serve?
I can't imagine.
Are they in? Is that the only regulatory body when it comes to firearms? Like there are some regulations when it comes to firearms.
Your sheriff department has that control. Your
Right.
state troopers have that control. Your city police have that control. And
There's
unfortunately,
but there is federal control, right? There's some federal control of firearms.
No, why is there? It's a constitutional right. What the? How does a federal agent think he can control tobacco?
Well,
Where do you get the authority to
the
control
idea
tobacco?
is that you need a tobacco stamp, but that's an agriculture
why?
thing, right? Why do you need a tobacco stamp?
Yes.
Yeah, why do you? Why do you need a tomato stamp?
Do I need a permit or paperwork or a license for my First Amendment?
I guess
no,
the idea is
I
all
don't.
three of them kill people. I mean, is that the only thing they share in common? It seems like it is.
Joe, I have a First Amendment
Yes.
before it was written down. I had it before they wrote it down
How'd you do that?
because I was born with it. I got it from God.
Oh.
The Founding Fathers wrote it down because King George and his punks thought that they can control our religions and our speaking.
You know, it's interesting what's going on in Australia today. With,
You think?
The over-the-top police state in response to COVID.
My whole point.
Yeah, that would not be possible in America under the current laws, the way it sits right now, because too many people are armed, particularly here.
Hallelujah. Especially
I mean,
in this room.
You wouldn't be able to. You literally wouldn't be able to do that. You wouldn't be able to just roam the streets and lock people down.
Think of a president of the United States when discussing the Second Amendment who is so brain dead, soulless, and evil to the core. He is the supposedly commander-in-chief, president of the United States of America.
The one we have now?
Yes, whatever that thing is. Punk.
He barely knows he's a president, though.
That's my point. So he's talking about the Second Amendment not that long ago, recently. And he goes, well, you got to be kidding me. I mean, you can keep and bear arms, but what are you going to do? We have nuclear weapons. Let's stop and take a moment and examine the thought process of the President of the United States. Instead of supporting the people's God-given individual right as guaranteed by the Second Amendment to keep and bear arms, instead of voicing compassionate, freedom-loving support for that self-evident truth, he threatened us that our Second Amendment will do no good against the atomic nuclear power of that prick.
What? What are you saying?
He said your Second Amendment won't do any good because we have nuclear weapons. Don't you remember that exchange?
No, I don't.
Well, I'm glad I'm here to remind you.
Well, I'll get Jamie to find it.
Jamie, find that one.
He literally said your Second Amendment. Are they going to nuke the
That's
the
my
people?
point. What kind of subhuman prick?
Well, it's just their perspective is so
squirrels his way up to the commander-in-chief position, and then instead of voicing support for the self-evident truth that God gave us the right to freedom of speech and keep and bear arms, instead of stating that as a representative of the American experiment in self-government, he took the enemy's perspective and said your Second Amendment won't do any good because we have nuclear weapons.
Is that real? Did he really say it that way?
See, your question, just like...
I believe you. I believe you, but I'm just
everything I say is true.
I believe you.
That's what Glenn Beck said when I said, 96% of violent crimes are repeated.
Hold on. Roll it down for the
And I might add, the Second Amendment from the day it was passed limited the type of people who could own a gun. What type of weapon you could own. You couldn't buy a cannon. Those who say the blood of patriots, and all the stuff about how we're going to have to move against the government. Well, the tree of liberty is not water with the blood of patriots. What's happened is that there never been, if you wanted to think you need to have weapons to take on the government, you need F-15s and maybe some nuclear weapons. The point is that there's always been the ability to rationally limit the type of weapon that can be owned and who can own it. The last time we had data on this issue.
Look at that freak. Listen to this man.
Purchasing guns was more than 20 years ago. 5% of gun dealers, turns out, in the study we did, showed that 90% of illegal guns were found at the crime scenes sold by 5% of gun dealers. 5%. Sold 90% of the
He's already made the statement that our Second Amendment won't do any good unless we have F-15s and nuclear weapons.
Taking on the government, that was, I don't even understand.
That's not what he's there for. He's not there for us to take him on. He's there to support us.
Yeah, he's supposed to work for us.
He's supposed to help defend us, not defend against us.
He's not supposed to be our boss either. He's supposed to work for us, which is a strange concept for people to get in their head. Like these people are not supposed to be running us. They're supposed to be working for us to enhance our life here in America. But this idea that there's always been a restriction on the type of weapons that you could have, that's not true. That's not
true at all.
It's not in the Constitution.
Nope.
If you look at the Bill of Rights, if you look at the Second Amendment, it doesn't say anything about you can't have a cannon.
Bear arms.
It does, yeah. It says the right to a well-armed militia. To keep and bear arms, the right to form a well-armed militia.
In the atmosphere of King George's men coming to disarm us.
Yeah, and in the atmosphere of the potential tyranny from a corrupt government. And if you don't think that it's possible for a corrupt government, just look to the past. It just doesn't mean it's happening right now where you're going to have to take arms against the government, but there could, and I think until COVID came around and until we saw what's going on in Australia and some other parts of the world where you do see unarmed populations who are being controlled by police states. Like, look what's happening in Hong Kong, right? Look what's happening in other parts of the world where they don't have any weapons, they don't have any control, and they're being controlled by these totalitarian regimes.
Bingo.
Yeah.
Bingo.
This idea of taking up arms, it becomes more and more possible in a lot of people's eyes today when they see the news.
Tyrants need unarmed and helpless victims.
They do, yeah. And, it's also the way people behave. They behave and think differently when they're governing people that are unarmed. They really do.
Always. Historically, I never went to college. I was too busy learning stuff, and I've never read many books. I haven't read any books. I think I wrote King Dog of the North.
You don't read books at all?
I don't read books. I write books, but I study information, and I communicate with wise people who do know history. And I got to tell you, stuff like the Discovery Channel and the occasional Nova special, when they delve into the history, and even a guy like Tucker Carlson who brings forth unlimited evidence to support his statements. And whether it's footage like the footage of Fast and Furious, or whether it's footage of the president claiming that our Second Amendment won't help against the government unless we have F-15s and nuclear weapons, I don't need to know anything more than what I hear from the mouths of suspicious people that are executing tyranny and control over innocent lives.
And here's a part of the problem with what he said. the military's run by regular people. It's regular people that are the Army. It's regular people.
That's right. We the people.
The Marines, the Navies, the SEALs, all the Green Berets, the Rangers. Those are regular people. Those are not tyrants.
I've done.
Those are us.
I've done raids with ATF agents, DEA agents, FBI agents.
Did you
Texas
ask them
Rangers.
why the tobacco and the alcohol and the firearms
I did,
all together?
And they don't like it.
Of course
they don't like it when I ask them, and they don't like it when I ask them how they face their children. And they don't like it when I ask them how they could follow somebody like J. Edgar Hoover or James Comey.
Right.
They don't like it when I ask them. And here's the horror of it. You ready for the... I've said a lot of hard things here today. And I've said a lot of lovely, buoyant things today. A lot of positive stuff.
Yeah, you've gotten hills and valleys, Ted.
I think, I got this thing called life. It's called a roller coaster. You know,
You're all over the place.
It's an adventure. Yeah, I'm all over the place. I live a full life. God bless me. The FBI agents that decided to commando up and go arrest Roger Stone with the CNN cameras rolling, how do you obey an immoral command like that? How do you obey an oath-violating command like that? And I know these guys. I hunt with these guys. I train with these guys. I shoot with these guys. I bullshit with these guys. And you know what they say, the horror of horrors? This is going to be the lowest point of this entire exchange today. I'd lose my pension. Great. So morals be damned. Your conscience is put on hold so you can get a paycheck even though you're violating your fellow Americans' rights. I don't think we can be friends. I'm incapable of that. There's morals. There's conscience. You all know what's right and what's wrong. And there's so many examples, whether it's Lon Horiachi, why that prick's not in prison or facing it. It's the guy who shot Vicky Weaver.
Oh, this is the...
Ruby Ridge.
Ruby Ridge, yeah.
So this guy, so you can just shoot people? Really? How about the ATF clusterfuck with the Branch Davidians? I mean, there's no accountability. How about the heartbreaking, tragic, oath-violating clusterfuck of Benghazi? So that's water under the bridge, really? So if someone rapes your daughter, since she's already raped, we don't have to get the guy that did it? No, it's not done till you get the guy that did it, and he's eliminated one way or the other. There is no justice in America, and our court systems, until Kyle Rittenhouse, I didn't think there was any justice left. Thank God for Kyle Rittenhouse. I think you probably read I'm sending him a lifetime supply of good ammo. That was a moment in time for America where we can take a deep breath and go, thank God a jury in Kenosha still has a soul, a conscience, and they understand glaring right over glaring wrong, glaring good over glaring evil.
Is there a story in our lifetime that has had more misrepresentation in the media in terms of like what the narrative is versus what actually happened?
Well, maybe when the Huffington Post wrote that I adopted a 9-year-old girl to have sex with. What's her name? The lies they've said about me. Nugent dodged the draft, didn't dodge the draft. Nugent's a racist. My bass player is black. Because they can't debate me, because my speech is so drenched in evidence to support everything I stand for, Pierce Morgan, that they know they can't debate me.
I remember that. The Pierce Morgan thing was fascinating because he tried to equate. He was talking about gun violence, but he didn't understand that when he was quoting those numbers, so many of those people that died were killed in the process of committing crimes.
Yes, or suicide. There's not a damn thing you do about that.
With gun violence.
Yeah, so many instances. So,
but what I want to get back to the Kyle Rittenhouse thing, though, it's like so many people didn't even know that he shot white guys until the trial was almost over.
Or
people
and
that I know that I was
you.
friends with, they didn't even know that someone had pulled a gun on him. They chased him down.
Or that the riots were based on the claim by CNN that the guy that the cops shot was dead. They didn't kill him. The cops murdered an unarmed black man, Blake guy or whatever his name was, that the cops were called in Kenosha,
the Kenosha riots,
which was the impetus of the riots. They murdered an innocent unarmed black man.
But he's alive. Isn't it fascinating too, though, that what happens during these a lot of these riots is people that are already bad people use these riots as an excuse to do violent acts. And that's what you saw with the one guy that he shot that was a multiple offender pedophile.
Lifetime.
Yeah, I mean, he had raped multiple young kids. I mean, he's a fucking horrible person.
A devil.
The other guy was a wife beater, a domestic abuser. These guys that were there were horrific people.
I give a shout out to you recently. I don't know if anybody told you that, but I gave a shout out to Michael Berry and Joe Pags and Tucker Carlson and Sean Hannity and Lars Larson and Mark Davis, all these conservative talk show people. There's a term I beseech you to begin parroting, and it is at the core of all heartbreak, tragedy, and victimization. Engineered victimization in America. And the term I coined in a recent, well, that's not recent, it was years ago, is that based on many uniform crime reports by the FBI, one of the rare moments where they can be trusted, is that upwards of 96% of violent crime, that's a huge number. It's as good as 100% as far as I'm concerned. If you're 96% likely to kill an elk on that hunt, you're going to probably kill an elk. 96% of violent crime is committed by repeat offenders. What we are living in today is the scourge of engineered recidivism. The violent offenders that are guaranteed to repeat their crimes are let out by the courts, the judges, the prosecutors, the parole boards, and the negotiation of early release or plea bargaining. Well, I know we shot a guy, but maybe we can get him to testify against the guy who drove the getaway car. No, stop. Engineered recidivism. All the victims.
When you say engineered, do you think this is done on purpose?
Yes, it has to be, because you can't not know it.
If I was a tinfoil hat wearing conspiracy theorist person, I would say that too, and I'm resisting it with every fucking fiber of my being.
As do I.
But when I look at shit like what's going on in Los Angeles in particular, where they are letting people out left and right, and you've
nationwide,
got armed robberies all over the place, it is nationwide. But I know what L.A. used to be like because I used to live there. It used to be different just 5 years ago.
Sure.
It was very different. But the district attorney that they have now, this guy Gascon.
Monster.
George Soros put
Evil's
him in.
best friend.
It's crazy the way they're letting people out of jail.
Well, look, you were talking
people that commit violent crimes.
You were talking to Jocko, one of your guys.
Jocko Willink?
Yeah, about the shootout, the
Chicago one, yeah.
And they on film, here's these guys
combat.
Breaking felony after felony after felony with
Killed
illegal guns, felony. They got him on film. They know the guy. There's his picture. He's on film. Nobody's prosecuted.
Not only
You've
they not
got to be kidding me.
They dropped all the charges due to mutual combat, is supposed to be two guys having a fist fight. That's what mutual combat's supposed to be. It's
That's
not
my
to be
point.
A
That
fucking
is
shootout.
That is engineered recidivism. They
But
know
why?
these are.
But here's the thing: why are they doing that?
There's that why question again. I don't give a shit.
But
It's
I do. I want to know what's the end goal. There must be some end goal
to destroy society.
But why would they want to do that?
I can't imagine.
I can't imagine either. But if I look,
and you have a great imagination. I have a great imagination. I could probably come up with some. Maybe it's this. Don't give yourself a headache.
If you took all these steps, step one, defund the police. Step one, hire these insane, progressive, air quotes,
crime-loving prosecutors,
DAs that are letting people off. And like the guy in Wisconsin that ran over those 50 people. That guy, he had tried to run over his fucking girlfriend.
Engineered
He was out on
recidivism.
only $1,000 bail. He tried to kill somebody with a car. He was out on $1,000 bail, and then he runs over 50 people in a car.
Engineered recidivism.
And then here's the fucked up part: the way they're covering that story in the news.
It's all about the car.
The man, it's not the man who killed those people.
The car.
It's an accident that was caused by an SUV. A fucking SUV caused an accident? What are you saying? Did it go haywire? Did the auto driving feature go nuts and it just plowed into the crowd? No, that this evil man with real problems, like a really psychologically fucked human being, drove into a crowd of strangers.
Listen to the words out of the prosecutorial team at the Kyle Rittenhouse trial. Listen to the words out of their mouths, and don't give yourself a headache. You'll get an aneurysm if you pursue the question, why would they say that? Why would that prosecuting team say that when someone is attacking you with a gun and a skateboard, that we all have to put up with a beating once in a while? And there's no reason.
Is that really what they said? They said it that way?
They said We all have to put up with a beating once in a while.
Was that actual words that they said? We all have to put up with a beating?
Listen to me closely.
Really?
Yes. Jamie will find it.
First of all, I saw a video of a security guard that got hit in the head with a skateboard. They caved his skull in.
Yes, that's my point.
Permanent brain damage. It's a horrible photo. Like half of his head is like caved in.
People in charge of justice are claiming that you must take a beating with a guy with an oak skateboard and a Glock pointed at your head, that you just need to bend over, spread your cheeks, and take it. That's what the prosecuting team said. That's what the Chicago prosecutor said. That's what the New York prosecutor said. That's what the Portland prosecutor said. That's what the Seattle prosecutor said. That's what the Atlanta prosecutor said. 1 week before the cop shot the guy that was running, he was on parole already, stealing a Mercedes, and he turned the taser gun on the cop. The week before that event, the prosecutor said, yes, when faced with the deadly force of a taser gun, deadly force is justified. Now, since the guy with the taser was black and the cop was white, now the same prosecutor said there's no reason to shoot a man with a taser gun because it can only cause temporary harm. Don't ask why. Don't ask why a guy would lie.
First of all, that's not logical. Here's why
that's
not logical.
There is no logic.
That's why you're going to hurt yourself. If someone shoots you with a taser, then they have your gun. Because if you're tased, then they have your gun.
Yes, and if you're unarmed, Michael Brown, and you're attacking this cop, you're unarmed until you get the cop's gun, and statistically, he will kill him with the cop's gun. You must neutralize this person.
I just don't understand.
You will never understand. It's not to be understood because you're a good man, and you're good. It causes evil to be confusing. So just let it be confusing.
There's just so much going on that's so crazy that it makes your head hurt. When you hear about like them essentially like allowing people to come across the border from Mexico, they're trying to stop it now. Apparently, Biden is going to reinstate Trump's stay in Mexico policy, which he criticized and called racist.
A little too late.
And now there's such an influx of people coming in from the Mexican border that they're trying to do something about it. But they're moving these people to all these different states. At the same time, they're trying to say that having an ID to vote is racist, which at the same time, they're saying you have to have an ID to show that you've been tested for COVID. At the same time, or that you've been vaccinated for COVID. But at the same time, they're not vaccinating these people who they're letting into the country. It is wild.
Which is why I never ask why.
But I ask why.
My brain tells me that it is so bizarre.
It's so bizarre.
So illogical. It is so wrong that you just... Old Yeller brings you the newspaper and your slippers. He saves you from the rattlesnake and the cougar. Hug him, kiss him, give him a bone. You wake up one morning and Old Yeller's foaming at the mouth. It's going to hurt, but you're going to have to shoot the motherfucker.
Because he's got rabies.
Because logic should rule the day. And if you try to ask why anything from the left, you'll have an aneurysm because there is no answer.
But don't you think that there's something to asking why? Because if you can at least show the path of corruption that led to these district attorneys that are willing to let out violent criminals that threaten everybody's health and safety. And if you could show that to people that have been in support of more lenient policies in terms of like prosecuting criminals, and you could show them that this is what's going on and that this is somehow or another, it's almost like it's engineered. But this will cause people to question things and maybe make people more aware of how fucked these people are that are making these laws are. The people are that are enforcing these laws or not enforcing these laws.
I will give you the benefit of the doubt that the question why may facilitate an inquiry into the origins of this evil and corruption.
It's going to open people's eyes and what they call red pill them, right?
I have found more effective just spotlighting the cockroaches, identifying their insanity. And let's just talk left versus right. My brother and I have this unbelievable friction right now because he hated Trump to such a degree that he called me the maniac. And I love you, Jeff. I truly love my brother. He's a great man. So, you hated Trump. So that means you're siding with this evil force that's taken over our government now. So someone explained to me And give me an example of where open borders brought quality of life. You can't. Tell me where engineered recidivism and the unleashing of the most evil savages in the human race onto our streets is benefiting quality of life. I could go right down the list.
Yeah.
The left's agenda, I don't need to know why they're doing it. I just need to identify that they are doing it and how innocent lives are being lost. Look at the prosecutor in Waukesha, who's on record that I know my diverting prosecution will cause the loss of innocent lives. That's quite a statement. He said,
This is the guy that let the guy out for $1,000 bail that ran over 50 people.
Yeah, and Jamie will put it up on the screen. My choice, my decision, said the prosecutor in Waukesha. A great community. I love those people. I've been performing in Wisconsin for over 60 years.
So he said he knew that it would cause a loss of life.
He said my diverting prosecution would cause the loss of innocent life, but here's the clincher, and don't ask why. But I stand by my decision. That is the same thing as saying, I want innocent lives lost. Don't ask why. That's just pure
Don't you also think there's a political
evil.
climate? There's a political climate of police reform and of justice reform. And this is, I'm all for letting innocent people get out of jail. That the Innocence Project's done amazing work exposing where corrupt cops have put people in jail for crimes they did not, in corrupt systems, put people in jail for crimes they did not commit.
Horror.
But when someone is like that guy who ran over those people, that guy was a tortured soul. He's a horrible human being. Like it's clear if you pay attention. Dangerous. They let him out and he committed a horrendous evil. That is fucked. I don't think it's a right or a left thing. Here's the thing about open borders. You think about the left. Who's more left than Bernie Sanders? He's about as left as it gets, right?
Yeah.
Jamie, go to my Twitter. Go to my Twitter because there's a conversation with Ezra Klein, who's also like super left, who's talking to Bernie Sanders. I believe it's from 2015.
Well, I admit
and Bernie Sanders, but no, Bernie Sanders has a fascinating take on open borders. And I think a lot of people would be shocked to hear this with the thoughts of today. Like, because if today, in this climate, if you say anything against open borders, you're some kind of a racist and a monster, right? Listen to this, because it's fascinating. Just press clear.
Something that is in what you said about being a democratic socialist is a more international view. But I think if you take global poverty that seriously, it leads you to conclusions that in the U.S. are considered out of political bounds. Things like sharply raising the level of immigration we permit, even up to a level of open borders, about sharply increasing the amount of foreign aid. Open borders.
That's a Koch brothers proposal. The
Really?
idea, of course. I mean, that's a right-wing proposal which says essentially there is no United States.
But it would make a lot of the global poor richer, wouldn't it?
And it'd make everybody in America poor. Then you're doing away with the concept of a nation state. And I don't think there's any country in the world which believes in that. If you believe in a nation state, or in a country called the United States, or UK, or Denmark, or any other country, you have an obligation, in my view, to do everything we can to help poor people. What right-wing people in this country would love is an open border policy. Bring in all kinds of people who work for $2 or $3 an hour. That would be great for them. I don't believe in that. I think we have to raise wages in this country. I think we have to do everything that we can to create the millions of jobs. You know what youth unemployment in the United States of America today? If you're white, a white kid, high school graduate, 33%, a Hispanic, 36%, African-American, 51%. You think we should open the borders and bring in a lot of low-wage workers? Or do you think maybe we should try to get jobs for those kids? So I think from a moral responsibility, we've got to work with the rest of the industrialized world to address the problems of international poverty. But you don't do that by making people in this country even.
How amazing is that?
It's amazing, but I give him credit for a rare, maybe one-time hiccup of sense. But within that rare one-time hiccup of sense about borders, he tried to convince somebody, not me, that it's a right-wing policy of open borders?
Well, I think he just thought that because you could get a lot of cheap labor to come in and you could pay them as little as possible.
Except that the evidence is irrefutable and inescapable that the open borders is a direct result of Barack Obama and Joe Biden and the left. It's a left thing.
Well, it certainly is now. It certainly is now. I mean, what's happening now is certainly the way people are looking at it now is a direct result of this idea that to not have open borders is somehow racist. To want to stop people that are coming in here, and I want people to do better. I want people that want to come into this country and work hard.
I love
to be
immigration.
Able to have that opportunity.
I'm all for immigration.
Yeah.
I'm all for banking. I'm not for bank robbing.
Right.
And I'm all.
Right.
See, but that's what the left does.
This is just fascinating that ideologically things have shifted so much. That like what the parameters are of like what is acceptable points that you could talk about and the way you could say it. If someone tried to talk like that on the left today, they would say this is a alt-right person.
How old is that?
2015. Isn't that amazing? 6 years later, the world's gone fucking wacky. It's social media.
Yeah.
Social media and these echo chambers of these fucking kids that get right out of universities or in universities right now and then get out and they're in these social justice warrior echo chambers and they just spout out this shit. And they do it without any understanding of what the ramifications are of what they're doing. When he's saying that this is a Koch brothers idea, if you tried to say that today, people would laugh in your face.
Yeah,
They'd be like, what the fuck are you
it's
talking
laughable,
about?
yeah.
But what he's saying, I understand his perspective. He's saying that, and he's looking at it from this cartoonish version of what a right-wing person is. The cartoonish version meaning this heartless person who wants slaves. You want people to work for pennies.
So wrong. It's so false. It's just false. But they have to go to that outrageous, dishonest misrepresentation to make their point because Bernie is a communist. And I don't care if he supported buying me ammo. He'd still be a communist. It was probably just a tactic to try to make to weasel his way into a believability factor because overall, all of these leftists, the media, academia, big tech, when they censor the recommendation of how people can get healthy, when it's been proven from a doctor, I don't need to ask why. Yeah. It's bad. They're
peer reviewed.
Bad people.
Yeah, well, the COVID narrative is the most insane.
So, Joe, if I was in charge, and I am in charge of my life.
Yes.
I'm in charge of my life. I'm the authority. Nobody has authority over me. Now, I obey the laws, but I'd like to think that the laws that I obey came from we the people for safe, secure, compassionate, pleasurable, quality of life perspectives.
Yeah.
My son Rocco, all my kids, my grandkids, my brother and sister, my incredible wife, Shemaine. Shemaine, I love you so much. It's deep into the realm of stupid, I love you so much. My band, my crew, my Linda, been my personal assistant for 33 years. Oh, Linda, I love you so much. And Doug, my manager, for 40-some years.
You're giving a lot of shout-outs.
Yeah, I do, and I love these people. That what you're experiencing, you invited me. I'm them. I'm the mouth and effervescence, dare I say, of the positive, quality, smart, cocky, hard-working, critical thinking, buoyant, energized people in my life. All the people in my life, all my friends. I'm doing a Ted Nugent greasy speakeasy at Tucker Hall in Waco on Saturday, December 4th with Johnny Kutz on drums and Johnny Big on bass with Calvin Ross, Lone Star Music. Yeah, I'm getting a lot of shout-outs because my life would be meaningless without the people I'm shouting out to.
Right. We were getting somewhere, though.
And, yes, we're getting somewhere that my perspective and how I manage my life, you can't call it right-wing. You call it sensible and thoughtful.
That's the problem, isn't it, that there is a right wing and a left wing? Because I think a lot of people are in the middle. A lot of people are center.
I think, believe me, I would like your take on it. I'm a middle guy. I got gay friends and black friends and trans friends, and I could
You have
give
trans
a rat's.
friends? How many trans friends do you have?
I got at the last NRA convention. I had these trans guys coming up to me. I guess they were guys. I don't know, but they love
Trans
me.
guys?
They hug me, and they love that I stand up for their freedom, self-defense, and First Amendment, and people on the.
I would love to see what this country would be like without any censorship on the internet. I really would. I would be
Zero.
I would be fascinated to see.
Be way better than this.
With if you could express yourself with no limitations on social media. I mean, I don't mean like doxing people, giving people's addresses away.
You can't threaten.
Right. But what I do mean is if you could argue your position freely without any worry of being pulled from the internet, because that has happened to so many people. You know, like there's so many people whose voices have been completely silenced. And there's people that are famous that have had their voices silenced, and there's people that you've never heard of that for whatever reason they said something that someone didn't agree with, so they just banned them.
It's unbelievable.
But
it's so wrong.
It's fascinating because just like with Mike Hart, this thing with it's just vitamin D.
Unbelievable.
There's things like that. You know, there was a thing called the Unity 2020 project that Brett Weinstein tried to put together, and the idea was to bring people from the left and the right that were sensible people. The idea was to bring someone like Dan Crenshaw and Tulsi Gabbard, bring them together and create this third party, a unity party, right? They banned them from Twitter for that.
I'll bet.
They banned them from Twitter. There was no threats. There was no violence. There was no spamming. There was nothing. It was just a position that they thought could endanger the chances of the Democrats winning.
Yes.
And so they justified pulling them and censoring them from the internet. What would it be like if people could have these free conversations, just talk about things? And I think, you know, we could find a lot of fucking common ground if we could do that.
You do that, and we salute you for that. But have you ever had a hardcore communist leftist Che Guevara fan on?
I've had Bernie on.
Yeah, but does he hold?
I love Bernie.
Does he hold back?
No, he didn't hold back at all. I think Bernie is a good person. I think he has good values and good ideas. I just think he lives in a different world.
But how can you find good in a communist agenda?
I don't think it's a communist agenda. I think he calls himself a democratic socialist, and the idea is doing better for the people, the working people and the working families, and making sure that people can't take advantage of these people by not paying them a fair wage. This has always been his position.
That's my position.
Yeah, but his position is to look at things like speculative trading and take a small percentage of that, less than a fraction of a penny off of these crazy stock deals that they're doing where they're using algorithms, take that and using it for infrastructure, using it for education, using it for healthcare. I mean, I don't know if it would work.
Great concept.
I'm not the guy.
Great
right?
concept.
I'm not an economist. I'm not a politician. I'm a fucking moron. I'm a cage fighting commentator who's also a stand-up comedian. You know, I'm not that guy.
Those are quite the credentials, by the way.
Strange
Almost
group.
as good as a guitar player.
Yeah, and I'm a bow hunting fan.
All right. But let me comment on that. So that's his perspective to help the little guy to take a little tiny little piece, some crumbs, as they said in The Godfather 2, to wet my beak. Who do we put in charge of that? Would we put a bureaucracy that's in charge of alcohol, tobacco, and firearms?
No. You're right. This is the problem.
Untrustworthy.
Well, the problem is anybody dumb enough to want to do that fucking job. The problem is anybody that wants to be in the position to control where the money goes. These people are almost always in some way or another entangled.
They'll steal it.
Right. There's entanglements. Just like where I was saying my friend who was working for these pharmaceutical companies, and he would get deep in with these deep in with these doctors and deep in with the nurses and know their families. It's like this weird sort of legal corruption. This way that they can infiltrate these people's lives to influence them. And that's the problem. The problem is the size of government. It's just so big, and it has so much fucking power.
Yep.
It has way more power than it ever had in the past, and they want more. And during COVID, those powers have grown.
Here's the pulse I get from my campfires. And again, people have to really think for a minute what this perspective is. We're working hard, playing hard, American shit kickers. Just people who bust their ass. The people in the arena, the swirling dust of battle, of the ups and downs of life, and they stumble and they dust themselves off and get back up and try again. Maybe they wanted to be a musician, but they couldn't make it, so they became a plumber, but they're a great plumber. And so they didn't get their dream, but they still bust their ass to be in the asset column. There's two columns. There's the liability column and the asset column. So my perspective is and again, not just this year's, but this year it was really quite voluminous, quite heated. Good American families don't trust any of the bureaucracies. We don't trust the CDC. We know that the WHO is an arm of the Communist Party. We don't trust the FDA. We don't trust the USDA. And I could give you examples in every instance how they're not trustworthy. In Michigan, if you use a feeder, you'll cause the transmission of chronic wasting disease. So we must ban the use of feeders. But since the deer hunters didn't get enough deer because they weren't able to use attractants, the USDA comes in with big giant feeders that says USDA on it. Who could possibly trust that glaring dishonesty and hypocrisy?
My favorite one is the recent decision of the FDA where they tried to stop the Freedom of Information Act releasing information about COVID for 55 years about the vaccines.
Yeah, that's a trustworthy maneuver.
Pull that up because it's something to behold when you look at it.
Now, see, I don't read books, but I read this stuff.
This is so wild. I've sent this to doctors. And I literally sent it to a doctor friend of mine, and she's pro-vaccine, and her take was, "What in the fuck is this?"
Yes,
that was her take, and
so
she hardly swears.
I'm sharing a take from hardworking Americans.
This is Reuters, by the way, folks.
We don't trust any of them.
This is Reuters, and I believe that the head guy from Reuters is on the board at Pfizer, which is,
That's all you need to know.
No, excuse me, on the board of the FDA. I believe, or Pfizer. Maybe
but he was recently on the board of Pfizer.
I think I'm wrong.
They go from Pfizer to the FDA.
But no. The guy from Reuters, I think, is on the board of Pfizer. Just check that because I want to make sure I'm right here. Because
I saw this,
but it's so. But my point is, it's so egregious that even Reuters, where the head guy is at the board of Pfizer, put this out. And it says, wait, what? ? FDA wants 55 years to process Freedom of Information Act request over vaccine data. That means they essentially want as much time as it takes where everyone who's involved is dead. Mm-hmm. So no one can be held accountable.
Something like the Warren Report, maybe?
Yes, very similar to the Warren Report because they just very recently stopped releasing all the...
extended
it even further. They would not release the transcripts.
So I would like all my...
Find out if that's the guy from Reuters, because I need to be clear on this, because I'm pretty sure
right.
I'm right.
Yes.
Say what it says.
The CEO of Reuters is on the board for Pfizer.
Thank you.
On the screen.
And then how
about they're still posting that. That's how egregious it is. It's so egregious that even Reuters is like, what the fuck are you doing? And their wait what is my what the fuck. God damn it, Ted.
It's rampant. It's like the guy, not the Attorney General, I guess it is, the U.S. Attorney General, who's got his fingers in the books that goes to the education system. His son runs the books, his son-in-law runs the books that are being sold to the education systems across America, and he's banning alternative education material because his son-in-law has a deal with the teachers union.
Well, how about this crazy one? How about the Hunter Biden laptop? Is that the most crazy thing ever? They literally banned the New York Post from one of the oldest newspapers in the fucking country. They banned the New York Post articles from being shared on Twitter.
And I know you're inquisitive and you're suspicious, but don't ask why. There is no answer. They're just horrible.
I'm not asking why anymore.
Horrible.
I'm going to take off a whole day for the rest of the day. I'm not asking why.
Go.
Ted Nugent, we've been talking for more than 3 hours.
Have we really?
Yes.
Jeez, I'm just getting warmed up.
Will you play us out with a riff? Will you give us a riff and wrap this bad boy up?
I love riffs.
Listen, man, I'm glad we did this again.
Yeah,
I appreciate you very much. You're always a lot of fun to be around, man.
Well, again, I love life. I thank God every day.
I know you do. You're a super positive person. You really are.
And I like to maximize the good and fight against the evil.
And I do really appreciate. Well, Cameron, first of all, thanks for doing this podcast. For people who don't know Cameron Haynes is a famous bow hunter, which is a rare thing. It's very rare that someone becomes famous as a bow hunter. and in the most manly form of bow hunting ever. You're famous for shooting the biggest, most majestic North American animals with sticks.
That's right.
I mean, that's what you're famous for. You're famous for taking out giant bugling elk with a flying stick. That's pretty badass, dude.
I wouldn't say famous.
You're famous to me. You're famous. I told a friend of mine who's a hunting fan. He's a personal trainer, and I said I'm doing this podcast with Cameron Haynes. He goes, "Oh, that's that Keep Hammering guy."
That's it.
Dude, like,
okay, one other guy, you and one other guy.
You are famous amongst
Jared
hunters.
Knows me. Yeah, so there's 3.
I brought you up to my friend Brian Callahan, who works at First Light, and he said, "Oh yeah, I know who that guy is." Yeah, so people know who you are, man.
Okay,
you have become at least. Can I say you have notoriety?
Okay, yeah, I'd say that.
Okay, some notoriety from killing elk with flying sticks.
That's it. Yeah.
How does one go about becoming famous, or at least develop internet notoriety from killing elk with flying sticks?
I think for me, it's just, I don't know. I just came up just like everybody else. So it's like, what I've done kind of gives other people that didn't have any breaks or just regular guys hope to chase their dreams. I really think that's it. I think that's why people like me.
Well, I'll tell you how I found out about you. I watched a lot of videos on YouTube, online, whether videos about anything that I find interesting. And I saw this video, this guy carrying rocks in his backpack, going up hills, training for elk hunting. And I was like, what is that? And then I thought about it. I was like, that actually is a pretty smart move. Like, I've never heard of anybody training for hunting. I went hunting when I shot that mule deer with Steve Ranella. That was the first time I ever went hunting, and I was amazed at how tired I was.
Yeah.
I was like, this is ridiculous. Like, I thought I was in really good shape. But when you're climbing up those muddy hills in the Missouri breaks, and everything's like sloshing, and it's, these steep hills, and, you're doing it for 6 hours in a row, like, man, you get exhausted.
Yeah.
Your legs get rubber, your lungs are burning. I was like, I can't believe this. I was thinking, I need to work out for hunting.
Yeah.
But I never heard of anybody doing that before until I saw you.
Right. Well, like elk hunting, you can get up at sometimes 5 a.m. to get to where maybe you put some elk to bed the night before and walk an hour before daylight. Then you're hunting all day, and then you get back to camp after dark, maybe at 8 or 9 o'clock. That's a long day. And
It's a long day.
People aren't used to doing that. I mean, how often do you work out for 15 hours a day?
Not only that, like, if you shoot an elk, then you have to take that elk back, and you have to figure out how to carry it through the mountains. Like, that's where it gets really crazy, because, like, what's the biggest elk you've ever shot?
It's probably a Roosevelt bull I killed in Oregon in 2010, and we're figuring it weighed about 1,200 pounds. It was 12 or 13 years old.
That's a big animal.
Yeah. Oh, it's huge.
Whoa! How long did it take you to carry 1,200? I mean, that's on the bone. So once you quarter it and skin it and take the head off of it and the antlers, how much is it? How much you carrying out?
About 500 pounds. We had it quartered up, and then with the hide, because I wanted to get it mounted, and the head and all that. So we had to carry about 500 pounds, but I had a few guys with me, so, made it a little easier.
Yeah, I guess. You have to bring like a pack crew.
Yeah. Yeah, no, they're big animals, and that's part of it. But that's, when you can go into the mountains where an elk lives every day, and like you said, with a sharp stick, take it out, harvest it, and then so you're on its home court, and then bring it back to your truck and back to your freezer. That's a powerful experience. That's the whole thing is hard. Everything about it is hard. But to be able to do that, I mean, it's given me confidence to know that in whatever everyday life, I can achieve things, because that's about as tough as it gets for me.
Yeah, I've always said that adversity is a very important thing for human beings, because if you don't go through adversity, you never know that you can. There's always going to be questions, and every time you do go through adversity, it sort of adds on to your ability and your confidence in all walks of life. It's like this tattoo that I have is Miyamoto Musashi, the guy who wrote the Book of Five Rings. And when I was a kid and I was competing in martial arts tournaments, I read the Book of Five Rings, and I remember this one quote: once you understand the way broadly, you can see it in all things. And once you've gone through the kind of adversity that you must go through to, hike 9 miles into a mountain, shoot an elk, and then bring that giant beast back and then cook it, like, That is you will develop confidence and you'll develop a sense of accomplishment that's very difficult to recreate.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And that's to do that. I know how difficult that is. And so in training, I try to simulate that as much as possible. I mean, that's where the carrying the 130-pound rock up the hill, or, for training, I've run 100-mile ultra marathons, that type of thing. And basically, I just want to simulate that misery, because I want to know what being miserable feels like. If you don't ever know, you never know how you're going to react. Some people might fold up, quit, but so I try to get there and as often as possible.
Why did you decide a rock? Why not like weights? Well, you can measure weights. Did you try to just go with the rock because it's even more primal?
I don't know. I had been seeing this rock. I run this mountain all the time, so I've been seeing this rock, and I was like, man, I need to get that rock to the top of the hill. And so I did this seminar at Cabela's. And I said, hey, anybody who wants to come up, I'm going to go run the mountain, because everybody knows I run this mountain. So they came in for the Cabela seminar. Then I told them, I said, if you run the mountain, I'll give you a free DVD. Just come hang. I just like to work out with people. Just, I like to see people sacrificing. So I said, I'm going to carry this rock up and we can all go do it. And I figured, the rock, I figured it's about 70 pounds. I had no idea. But so I get up there, I have this empty pack and I have everybody there. And I'm like, all right, just hang on for a second. I'm just going to throw this rock on my pack. And I lift it. First time I'd ever touched it. And I was like, wow, this is more than 70 pounds. And so I ended up getting it up to the top. And then we tried to take pictures, I couldn't even lift that thing over my head because a rock is just weird to lift. And so I ended up taking it down off the mountain. I'm like, obviously it's more than 70. I want to figure out how much it is. So it was 130 pounds, but it was just kind of on a whim, I guess, is how that came about. Now it's just my rock.
Now it's your workout rock.
It is. Yeah.
Now, are you allowed to just pull rocks out of the forest? Is there any regulations about that?
I may have poached that rock. No, it's still there. I just carried it up and down. I never take it. I took it to the gym to weigh it, but it's back. It's up on the mountain right now.
Oh, okay. So what would you do if you came there and you saw somebody else throw that rock in their backpack? You're like, hey, man.
No, nobody's going to do it. Somebody did. I think they had seen the rock talked about. So, and I said, hey, people kind of people question everything for whatever reason.
Sure.
And so they say, oh, that's not 130 pounds. I'm like, okay, well, here it is. Go pack it to wherever you want and weigh it. So somebody did move it like 20 yards. And I did notice that. But other than that, it just kind of sits wherever I leave it.
Well, if it's heavy enough, that's good that nobody will steal it. Or most people won't steal it, I should say.
I don't think they're going to steal it.
Now, when you take that rock up to the top of the mountain, how often do you do this?
I do it about once a week.
Once a week?
Yeah, that's kind of,
wow.
I mix it up, and that's my once a week type, something different. Other than that, I usually just run the mountain.
So once a week, once every 7 days, you carry that. How far are you carrying it?
It's 1.5 miles.
Jesus. Yeah. Oh.
Yeah.
That hurts my lower back just thinking about it.
Yeah, me too.
Oh. Is there any danger of like doing that's like some serious weight that you're carrying on your back like that? It's an awkward way to carry weight.
Yeah.
And to do it like once a week.
Yeah, I try to think I'm bulletproof, but I've found out that I'm not. And so yeah. And that's a trail right there. So up the hill with the rock.
That's some serious work. Like the amount of actual physical kinetic work that you have to do to go up a hill with a 130-pound rock on your back like that. Like, man, that's got to get you in some insane shape.
Oh, it helps. I mean, it's just everything helps. Mixing it up. I do a lot of different things, but that's just one of them.
Now, was this something that you had always done, and then when you got into hunting, you just sort of ramped it up, or did you like really get into fitness once you became a hunter?
That's another shirt I have. Ramp it up.
Oh, really? Is it really?
Yeah, it is.
Oh, no kidding.
But no, let's see. So I started bow hunting. I was just a teenager, and I ended up killing a spiked bull elk my very first year. I think it was 18 or 19. And that was, to kill a bull with a bow, where I came from a real small town. I mean, 20-some kids in my graduating class. And so a lot of people hunted, but to kill a bull with a bow was like special. And so I got attention for that. I was like, this is some positive reinforcement. And I'm like, this is after high school, after the high school sports and all that, and trying to find my way, trying to figure out what the heck I was going to do. And so I liked hunting. I liked the challenge of it. I got some positive reinforcement from it. So I'm like, hey, this is pretty cool, because didn't hardly know anybody who'd killed a bull with a bow back then. And so I was successful, but from there I just wanted more of a challenge. And then, I started going into the wilderness, into the Oregon's biggest wilderness, Eagle Cap Wilderness. It's 375,000 acres. And so you can get back in there away from people. And I thought, well, now I want to go to the middle of this wilderness, because that would be even more badass. And if I could kill a bull back there, man, that would be the ultimate. And so it was just kind of, from there I realized how the physical part of bow hunting, where it, was more important. And so it was kind of a progression. I've always ran 10Ks and different things like that, but I figured, man, you can't be in too good a shape to challenge that country. And so I've just, I haven't reached my limit, and I'm trying to try to become what I always say is the ultimate predator.
So it becomes a part of like your whole psyche. It becomes a part of like what you're doing with your life. It becomes the challenge of it becomes almost as important as what you're doing itself. Like, you're not just going out and getting an elk for meat, which I'm sure you enjoy elk meat.
Yeah.
But it's also it's almost sort of like a spiritual quest.
Oh yeah. I mean, the most powerful moments I've had have been in the mountains, in the wilderness, after killing a bull, because everything that goes into it. It's not just the fact that I killed an animal. It's how much I respect the animal, how tough the country is back, all the training. It's just a accumulation of all that work and all that investment of emotion and everything else. And so it's spiritual. I mean, by yourself back there is as raw as it gets. It's tough.
And eating the animal that you've killed, I just started hunting. I've only been hunting a little over a year and a half. And for me, the most delicious meals, the most satisfying meals I've ever had is venison that I've killed myself. There's something intimate about it, I guess. You're much more attached to what you're eating. And I've never killed anything with a bow, much less a 1,200-pound bull elk with a bow in the middle of the woods. I mean, that's got to ramp it up another notch.
Oh, yeah. It's amazing.
Because if you're shooting something with a rifle, I shot that mule deer from 200 yards away. Yeah. That's pretty far.
Yeah.
You're shooting these animals 30, 40 yards away from you, and they're huge.
Yeah. No, they don't commit suicide. They are, they're used to lions. They're used to being hunted. So to get into bow range, in their red zone, so to speak, that 30 to 40 yards, that's difficult. They're dialed in. They're used to being hunted every single day. I mean, they're never turned off. And so, it's tough. And then you have just basically a sharp stick, one arrow. We've got the arrows laying over there, and it's amazing how lethal with a razor sharp broadhead an arrow can be. And I've seen, there's videos of huge bulls I've killed dropping in seconds just from that, quicker even than maybe a rifle would kill them. And that's pretty amazing. But
that is pretty amazing. Well, one of the things about you is because of all your training, because of all this lifting and exercise that you do, you shoot a really heavy bow. You shoot a 90-pound compound bow, which for folks who don't know, like a lot of people, they'll tell you, like, you don't need to shoot anything more than 60. But 90, I've never even heard of anybody shooting a 90. I never even pulled one until I pulled yours. I mean, that's that's pretty stout.
Yeah.
So you're sort of like adding to like this whole reason why you're exercising and all this fitness and getting really strong and in really great shape. You kind of have to be in great shape just to use the very weapon that you use to take these animals out.
Yeah. Well, and it's true. You don't necessarily have to shoot 90 pounds. I mean, people do kill. There's women out there bow hunting who are very successful with a 50-pound bow. It's true. You can do it. But, I want to shoot 90. What I want on an animal is I want 2 holes. I want that arrow blowing through, so I have 2 holes spilling blood, and that's how I'm going to recover the animal. An arrow kills from hemorrhage, so not from shock like a rifle would. So to get that hemorrhage, Whereas a 50-pound bow might go in halfway and it might get into the lungs and it might kill it. You might get 12 inches of penetration. If I go clear through that bull and it's, maybe 24 inches across, well, there's a 24-inch wound as opposed to a 12-inch wound. And again, we're killing by hemorrhage. And so it's just going to be that much more lethal in my mind. And then if I'm blowing through ribs or through a shoulder or it's quartering way hard, so I have to go through maybe 30 inches of mass, well, I'm going to be able to do that. Yeah, it's not, it's not necessary, so to speak, but it's what I'm comfortable with, and I think it makes me that more lethal of a bow hunter.
How many other dudes are shooting 90 pounds?
I'm not sure.
Is there anybody?
I don't know. Yeah, I'm sure.
Probably one or two?
I don't know. Yeah, I'm sure there's some.
Well, I just pulled it back, and I was thinking, when I was pulling it back, I was like, imagine pulling this thing back if you just climbed up the top of a mountain and you're absolutely exhausted, and then you have this one opportunity to see. If you ever had that happen where, you're really exhausted to work to get to where the elk is, and then you're so tired you have a hard time pulling the ball?
No.
That's because you train hard.
Right, yeah. No, that's never been an issue. No.
But it's because you prepare.
Yeah.
For the average person, 90 pounds it's really difficult to lift. You're using two hands, sort of, but a bulk of the work has got to be in your right arm, right?
Yeah, it's difficult. Where I think would be more difficult is if you're sitting in a tree stand for hours, freezing, and then a buck walks by and you have a 90-pound bow. That would be hard. That would be because you're not warmed up. You're not, active. So that could be difficult. But I had that bow for a late season hunt back home, and it was cold. It was like 7 degrees, and I'd been up there for hours, and I'm just like, okay, this is going to be a test now if I can pull this back, and I was able to, and so.
Well, it's just because you train so hard.
Yeah, no, if I didn't do what I do every day, there's no way.
That's great. How many other guys are doing that? How many other guys are like in shape and treating this almost like a sport?
There's more. There's more doing it now, especially guys out west. But I get emails from Georgia, from people. It just and what I found is that, like you talked about earlier, it kind of gives your life purpose. Everybody has a job, people have families, everything else, and they just kind of they need to find something that can define them or motivate them. And now all of a sudden, training for hunting is something. Before that was, nobody ever did it. So now maybe that is what's making a difference in their life. And so, and I still get people who they don't like it. They don't like feeling like they have to train to hunt. And so I get criticized a lot for my approach also. And
what do they say? Oh, what are you doing? Getting in shape? What are you doing? Getting strong and healthy? Yeah. Asshole. Yeah. What kind of criticisms do they come up with? I would love to hear those.
Yeah. It's pretty, I don't know if it's funny. It's been irritating, but I just kind of blow it off. But
has it actually irritated you?
Yeah, a little bit.
You got to get tougher. You got to work on that aspect of your training.
Okay, I do, definitely. But they'll say stuff like, oh, Cameron says you have to be able to run a marathon to kill an elk, right? Which is, I've never said that. I do that, but you don't have to. And, I saw something the other day that says, oh, my approach is what's wrong with hunting today. It's like,
being healthy and strong.
Yes, I don't know.
Not eating sugar, not drinking alcohol, eating healthy foods, and working out. Yeah, you're what's wrong with the world, man.
Yeah.
Basically.
Yeah.
All these healthy fuckers out there ruining it for everybody else.
I know.
All these fat guys like to sit in tree stands and blow farts. They're upset. Guys like you are out there doing something exciting.
I guess. I don't know. So anyway, I get criticized just because, hunting in hunting for some people is kind of just a getaway, and there's nothing wrong with that. It's a vacation.
Sure.
It's not something you want to gear your life around, and that's okay. I get that. You don't have to train every day if all you're looking for is just to get away and relax.
There's nothing wrong with that in any endeavor, whether it's a game or a sport or even martial arts. There's nothing wrong with taking a martial art class once a week just for exercise. Like my friend Joey Diaz, he's big, he's overweight. He takes jiu-jitsu all the time. He's not trying to get his black belt. He just wants to get his blood pumping, get a little workout in there. There's nothing wrong with that.
Right.
And then I have another friend who's beaten world champions. My friend Eddie's a black belt and like one of the best in the world. So it's like both approaches are okay.
Yeah.
It's okay to be obsessed with something and pursue excellence, and it's okay to just enjoy it as a pastime.
Yeah.
The problem is that the people that enjoy it as a pastime, they're always gonna they just get this little nagging thing in the back of their head. For some of them, like especially the weak ones, that they realize that you do it better than them, or they realize that if they went hunting with you, they couldn't keep up, or they realize that if they ran with you, they can't keep up, or if they realize they tried to lift with you, they couldn't lift as much. So they're like crabs in a bucket. You know what crabs in a bucket are like?
No.
If you have a bunch of crabs in a bucket, one crab tries to get out of the bucket, and the other crabs grab them and pull them down.
Gotcha.
And that's what always happens.
I guess.
It's just, that's the number one problem with the world, is crabs in a bucket.
Yeah.
The number one problem with this world is people, instead of being inspired, they look to criticize. People, instead of looking at someone who works hard and does something amazing, and looking at their own life, they find fault or they find weakness, or they find themselves not to add up, not to measure up. And so they get upset. And instead of finding that inspirational and say, you know what, I do have a belly. I do need to get to the gym. You know what, I do drink too much. I got to stop doing that. Instead of that, they just start shitting on this one thing that causes them to feel insecure. Not even realizing that that one thing has the potential to empower them.
Right. Now, I don't know if, I mean, it could be what's going on, but
It's 100%. Those fat fucks. It's 100% what's going on. It's 100%, man. I know it because I've felt those feelings. I've felt insecurity. I felt jealousy. I felt all that, especially as a young man, before I figured out how to train my mind and how to embrace someone who's better than me and embrace someone who inspires me and look for it amongst my peers, look for it even amongst my enemies. I try to be inspired by people I don't even like. You know, I try to, like, if I find someone that I think is like someone who's a bad comedian, who's a joke thief, but they work hard, I try to take that aspect of them that works hard and only concentrate on that and find inspiration in it. Because then they become valuable to me. Right. You know, then I can see the negative aspect of their behavior, and that becomes valuable to me because I realize it reinforces what's bad. But then the good aspects of it, whatever it is, you could find just something in someone that you don't even like. You could find like something that they do that can inspire you.
Right. And, you know, I don't want to, I get mostly all positive, and people inspire me. They say that I've helped or motivate them and this and that. That inspires me also it holds me accountable. You know what I mean? Because now I've created this thing and it's what I love, but it also holds me accountable. Like, hey, I got to keep it up for the people.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Yes.
And so that's, I mean, 99% of what I get is positive, but it seems like you remember the 1%.
You got to train yourself to not do that.
Yeah.
That's mental training.
I hear you.
Mental training as well as physical training. Believe me, man, I've gone through it. And what I say is that it's like snake bite venom. Like when a snake bites you, if a snake bites you for the first time, I mean, you're fucked. You're sick. You got to go to the hospital. You got to get anti-venom. You're in a lot of trouble. But if you just get a little bit of venom every day over time, after a while the snake bites you and you're like, bitch, get out of here. That shit ain't gonna work
Built up
on
tolerance.
me. Yeah.
Yep.
You
Gotcha.
develop the ability to understand what it is.
Yeah.
And I feel sorry for people when I just see ridiculous criticism. I laugh. Like, someone will come into my office sometimes, like my wife's like, what are you laughing at? I'm like, some guy's making fun of me. It's just hilarious. I just reading what they say about me makes me laugh.
Yeah.
If I really thought they were right, it would bother me.
Right.
But if I have done what I need to do and I've done all the work and I've assessed myself and I'm objective, then I can find folly in their weakness.
Right. Yeah.
But you're an inspirational dude for sure, because you inspired me. I saw some of your videos. I said, I like a guy who's going for things. I like a guy it's not easy to run an ultra marathon. It's not easy to take a 130-pound rock, put it in a pack, and walk up to the top of the hill. When I see people doing stuff like that, I get like this, it like ramps up inside me, and I want to go work out. I want to go do something. I want to get shit done. I think people like you are really important. The type of people that do things like that, they provide energy for countless other people, whether you're aware of it or not. You know, I know that you did to me, so I know that I'm not unique in that. And I know that other people who watch your videos feel the same way. They get excited about it, and you cause motion. You cause effort. Because of what you've done, you get people excited, and that inspiration actually causes things to take place.
Yeah, well, thanks. This is, it's what I love to do. It's and it's just preparing for crunch time, basically, getting out there and preparing to be the ultimate predator, not fail when all the like when we're filming for a TV show. There's a lot of pressure. These hunts can be expensive. You're traveling a long way, away from your family. There's a lot at stake. There's a guy with you who's being paid. There's a big investment. So I don't want to fail when it comes down to that moment. Not only for me, but for other people who sacrifice. So that's basically what the work's about.
And I think it's cool too that you feel that people are inspired by these things, and it actually like motivates you to ramp it up another notch, to keep it going even further.
Oh yeah, no, I haven't hit my ceiling. I'm trying to get better every day.
It's just such a badass, manly approach to life. Elk hunting with a bow and being an expert at that. Do you have a regular job?
Yep.
What's your regular job?
I'm supposed to be at work right now, actually.
Oh, really? You got off? You got a good boss?
No, they think I'm sick.
Oh, really?
No.
They're going to find out. This is a bad move, then.
No. Let's see. Yeah, I'm a buyer for the local water and power company back home. So I've done that for 18 years.
So you do that 40 hours a week?
Yep.
And so how do you find the time to do all this other stuff?
Just make it happen.
Wow.
Yeah, it's just what I do. So, yeah, I mean, you know how it goes. I'm sure you've been there before where if I don't get my workout in or if I don't do it, I'm just in a bad mood. You know what I mean? So we just make time to make it happen, and it's just what I do.
Well, there's the other part about working out, about the bad mood part, is that your body sort of develops this habit of pumping out energy.
Right.
Like when you get in shape and you get your body like really fit and you get your body used to exerting these big explosive bursts of energy like lifting or jiu-jitsu or whatever it is, your body sort of like ramps up for that and then is like, hey, where's my release?
Right.
Like, hey, we're ready to go. Hey, we're ready to go. Why are we in a fucking office, man? Like, what's going on here? We're going to kill something. I'm going to shoot a bow at somebody. What's going on? Why can't I lift weights?
Yeah.
Hey, this is kind of crazy. And you don't have that release. And I think our bodies are probably designed for a certain amount of that, being that we were, for who knows how many thousands of years, we were hunter-gatherers, and we essentially share the same DNA as those human beings that lived 30, 40,000 years ago. There's not much of a difference between us and them. There's got to be a lot of the old reward, the reward mechanisms of life, like still in our DNA. And I think that people who don't exercise those reward mechanisms, you're missing out on a lot of what it is to be a person, a lot of what it is to be like excited by life. It's there's something like pretty intense about just fulfilling those reward mechanisms. And I think hunting is one of those that I didn't realize until I started hunting. I really didn't realize like what an intense connection your mind. I want to say your spirit, but that's a word that's been hijacked by so many shitheads wearing crystals around their neck.
Yeah.
But it seems like there's something in you that like it opens up this weird path that like, oh, you didn't even know this was there. Mm-hmm. This predator path, this path of connection to the animals, connection to the wild world, going out there and getting an animal and eating it. And I don't even mean it in like a macho, like look how cool I am way. I really mean it in a spiritual way. There's this weird spiritual connection you have to the Mother Earth when it provides for you, to the animals of the wild itself when you go out and you get one and then you use it for sustenance.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, and that's, people who think it's just about getting meat, like I think you were talking with John Hackelman. He didn't really understand hunting at all.
Yeah.
But, did they think it's akin to going to the store and buying a steak? It couldn't be further from the truth. I mean,
it's the exact opposite of that, really.
Yeah, you're getting meat, and yeah, you're eating it, but it's a connection. It's everything else that it's all about. That's where the power comes from. And man, without that, I don't know. I mean, that's everything to me. That's my life. You know, just gearing up for that is what I do. So,
well, I do a lot of exciting things. I'm a very fortunate person, and whether it's stand-up comedy or whether it's working for the UFC, the things that I do, I truly love doing, and they're very exciting things. I mean, when the UFC starts, when the fights are going on, I never feel like I should be anywhere else.
Mm-hmm.
Like I'm always very excited to be there. Hunting's even more exciting than that.
Yeah.
And it's accessible to everyone. Whereas, like, not everybody gets to be the commentator for the UFC. I'm lucky for me, I'm the only one. Or, you know, there's a couple other guys that do it when I'm not doing it, but
they're not as good.
Thank you very much. Appreciate that. I think a lot of them are really good, but that's to me. But you know what I'm saying? It's like that's a job that maybe 5 people on the planet get to do, as far as do commentary for MMA. 3 in the UFC. But hunting is, everybody can do it.
Yeah.
A lot of people can do it.
Yeah.
You know? And that's the other thing that I really like about your approach. You go on public land.
Mm-hmm.
You do it in the national forests. You do it in the areas where they're accessible to all these folks.
Yeah.
You can get a tag just like everybody else. You get your license just like everybody else.
Mm-hmm.
And you go out there and you're not like doing one of these canned hunts. This is really like the American wilderness that you're entering into.
Yeah, and that's I have done, so I've had guides, like when I go someplace where guides required, Canada or different places, but where I basically made a name for myself was in the wilderness by myself on those solo hunts. And to tell you the truth, I was worried. I think, let's see, I wrote an article, is either 99 or 2000. I went with my buddy South Cox. He's from California here.
The dude should change his name.
No, he's a stud.
At least North Cox is like...
South's a stud.
Yeah, the fuck? Your parents hate him or something? Why'd you call him South Cox?
It's COX.
Oh, so whatever. Courtney.
Yeah. So we went and we both killed good bulls, and I killed a buck also. And I wrote this article about it, and the photos were awesome. Just the whole experience is good. And I thought, this is going to screw up my hunting because this is public land. This is Eagle Cap Wilderness. And this is probably the last time this hunting's ever going to be good because people are going to see this and they're going to want to do it. And now where I didn't see anybody for years, there's going to be tons of people. Well, next year came around, I went back in there, there's nobody there. And so, I ended up writing a book about that type of hunting, and still nobody was there. And the bottom line is, yes, it's available to everybody, but it's very tough. And you're 12 miles from the nearest road, and you're living off your back in some of the most unforgiving country there is. That's just never easy. And so people try it,